I like when you said you don't label a piece of art on where it comes from. If an art form is born in the gay world, you don't have to be gay to like it, right?
No, I mean that's like saying listening to Selena automatically makes you Hispanic. If you watch Tu Wong Fu, you're not automatically gay. You know what I mean?
Are most of your fans gay?
No. Oh my God, my audiences are like at least 50% straight people.
I know Trump many, many years. What do you think? What do you make of Donald Trump?
Well, we're both dudes in wigs that wear too much bronzer, so I think we probably have a lot more in common. I think it's a perspective, you know. I don't know. People can only understand. Maybe he just hasn't seen a lot of.
Oh, what an intro, right?
Yeah. Is that gay culture? Is that what that is?
That's a little bit of everything, I think. Okay. It's a lot of everything. I wanted to put that in just in case we had anybody waiting at the beginning to get mad. I wanted to go ahead and just ignite it from the start. So
hey, that's one of the things I like to do with some of the clips before our streams too, is just like I'm gonna throw something in there to really just set them off if they're waiting to be set off, you know.
Yeah. We got Anthony in the house as a team member. Good to see you. Defunct is here. Blackwing Gaming, Maestro, Screwface Capone's in the house. What's up? Hey Jalen, how you doing? Hey everyone. Welcome to the stream. I actually was not going to go live. I've had like a summer cold the last week or so with my sinuses and stuff.
Oh shit.
So I did my review for The Boys today with a guest. It'll go up tomorrow on my Eric's Reloaded channel. The first 3 episodes dropped. And
oh my God, they did? Holy crap.
3 episodes. It's like an hour. It's actually 3 hours, I think.
They do that to me every season. They're just like, I'm waiting for it, and then it's suddenly like, oh, they're out now. They've been out for a while now. Where you been?
Yeah, they dropped today, and we set through all 3 of them, and
yeah,
they are not pulling any punches with where they stand.
Good.
With the grifty crowd. So
well, I mean, you saw the tweets from like a Kripke recently, right? There was like yeah, and then I found this one guy in particular that replied just like, well, Homelander is pretty relatable. This guy doesn't even understand his own show. I'm just like, wow, man, that's a take.
Yeah, it's rough. It's good though. I did my review. My review will be up tomorrow at 3:00 Eastern on my my Eric's Reloaded channel. I was joined by Darth Bunyan from Followable Fandom. We talked about it a bit, and I have to edit it. It's a lot. It was like a 45-minute chat because it was a 3-episode premiere, so I have to pare it back a little bit. So I'm going to edit that tonight and hopefully have that up by tomorrow. But I sound so congested, and I do apologize. However, this is going to be my live streaming outfit for the entire month of Pride.
Nice.
So,
dude.
So
it looks comfortable.
It's Ted, right? Thunder Buddies. Yeah. Like that's the whole thing. So anyway, so yeah, this is the name for the rest of the month. I've actually gone in several streams with people with this name and this outfit, wondering how they're going to react to it. And it's been some mixed reviews. So we'll see how it goes. Look, can you believe, Dane, can you believe they ruined Star Wars Episode 3? They destroyed everything.
Yeah.
I am totally not fake outrage.
I mean, I can believe it because I've seen lots of people saying it, so it must be true.
Yeah. We're going to watch some videos. I got a couple videos queued up for the stream tonight, so we're going to go over those.
No, we Turf and I watched a video of a very, very small, brand new YouTuber's her first video essay. She has like 80 subs. And she made a video. She has more of a following on TikTok, I guess, but like, she's probably 20 years old or something, and she's just a big fan of Star Wars and of the Acolyte in particular. She was looking forward to, so she just kind of wanted to talk about her experience with the fandom so far. And I was like, we watched that, and it's uploaded on the Show Clips channel just to kind of like encourage her, like, please, keep doing this if you want to, because we need more of this. We need more just perspectives that aren't, the grifty perspectives, right? The shitty ones. So
yeah, I think this is a weird situation because I don't think, okay, so the 3rd episode was the one that they were sort of talking about before, because I think some of the early reviewers got like episodes 1, 2, and 3. I believe they got the first 3 episodes, and some of them were basically spoiling it for people because they wanted to get that outrage going as early as possible. So they did that, and I kind of unfortunately stumbled upon a little bit of that before the episode aired. And to be quite clear, in my review, I said that it wasn't like, I don't think the episode was very good for me personally. Like, I didn't find it to be as interesting as I guess I wanted it to be. But none of it had anything to do with the stuff that people were saying about it. Like,
that's been my experience with it too, man. Just like
Yeah.
I told Turf the other, it's like I'm about 70-30 in favor of the show, but like there's a
Mhm.
big chunk of it that I'm just like kind of not connecting with.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with any of the shit that's being
So
talked about.
their complaints are like lesbian force witches. Okay, cool. I'm down with that. Like, I don't have an issue with that
Pretty
at
rad.
all. That's fine. This covenant that's not connected to Dathomir or anything like that, I'm totally good with that too. All of that's fine. Let's see, what else were they complaining about? The ruining of the legacy of Anakin or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
How? We have no idea how this season is going to end. We don't know any, like, they have us believing a bunch of stuff, but what I've loved about the Acolyte so far is they've introduced questions. There's the smaller questions and the broader questions. So you have these big mystery that's going on, but the smaller questions are getting answered at a pretty good pace, I think. So for me, I'm like, we're getting answers to questions every couple of episodes so far, and it's setting us up for the larger stuff. So I have no idea where they're going to go with this. I have no clue. And that's why I'm kind of excited about it. So all of my criticisms about like this episode or the show in general, ultimately, I love the idea of this mystery. I want to see what this mystery is and how it pays off. And for that, I'm invested, you know, but the woke stuff and like they said it was like the queerest season of Star Wars yet or whatever. I'm not really getting that vibe yet. Maybe there is something else that's coming along. I mean, because even the lesbian like force witch cult or whatever that it was, it wasn't like in your face like that. You know what I mean? So I'm still not sure what the issue was. I didn't like the song. I thought the song was bad. Like when they were singing and chanting and it became like this almost like, I don't know, I want like a Disney song thing or what. I didn't like that at all.
Yet. I've seen enough descriptions of it that I can kind of feel like I've got a vibe of what, you know, who knows? You know, I'm not super invested in the show in the first place, but I mean, like even if I was, the complaints about, you know, Anakin's legacy being ruined, like what the hell does that even mean? You know, you've got a guy who finally did the right thing at the very end after he's responsible for essentially damn near genociding, you know, several planets and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And like, so his legacy is not spotless as it is.
Right.
You know, if it's something to do with like him being, he was supposed to be immaculately conceived or whatever, basically is what it hinted at in episode 1. And then there's something similar to that here. It's like there's nobody ever said that's the only time that could happen. There was discussion with a Palpatine about being able to, you know, create life from the Force and whatnot. So I mean, it's really just grabbing at straws, and you know, people that probably don't really know shit about the lore of Star Wars are pretending to be lore masters right now. And you can tell,
which is shocking to me because I'm a casual Star Wars fan and I'm enjoying it. Like, it's not the best, like so far it isn't the best thing I've ever seen in Star Wars. I'm not going to pretend and be like, oh yeah, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it has sort of, it's piqued my interest, and the people that I watch TV with, we get together as a group, they pretty much are all interested in it too, which is different from like, I liked Ahsoka. I thought it was good. But a lot of people were lost on Ahsoka because it required so much history. This show so far hasn't required any Star Wars history to understand what's happening. And I think some people are enjoying that. They don't have to like invest in a million other things to understand what they're seeing.
See, I actually like, one of the reasons that I've been struggling to connect with it is just because of the fact that it's kind of so disconnected from anything that we've seen before, as far as characters or setting and time, you know what I mean? So like I'm kind of like always constantly thinking, you know, in the back of my mind, like what is the situation with the politics right now, and you know, how many Jedi are there? Just things like that. You know, things probably don't even matter to the plot, but that's just where my brain goes whenever I'm.
No, I get it. Like, it's very weird because I've heard people who are diehard Star Wars fans say the same thing that you're saying, that have watched it for years. But then I'm hearing a lot of people who are just barely like 1 foot, 1 toe in the water of Star Wars, and they're like, no, this show is great. I'm interested in these characters. I'm interested in the story, which ultimately, to grow your brand, you have to find that balance between like what you can give to people that's different and new, but still retain some of the people who are already invested, because there's enough Star Wars for everybody. I mean, there's so much content out there. So
yeah, the presumption that like everything that they put out has to meet your expectations or exceed them is they kind of call that entitlement.
Yeah,
and it's not cool, really.
So have you seen, there seems to be an anger about the one of the actors, I don't remember which one it was, but there's an interview with a clip where they're not remembering, I guess, a lot of the older movies correctly or whatever.
The guy that plays what's his name? The younger Jedi.
Yord.
And he'd said, like, basically
he was my least favorite character so far of the series, so I don't remember his name.
He mixed up Anakin. He said Anakin instead of Luke blowing up the Death Star, I think. And it's like that could be anybody could do that. Anybody, there's people that know Star Wars really well could make that slip up. But like these are the same people that are constantly saying, it shouldn't matter what their skin color is, whatever. Just get somebody that does the job. They're doing a job. They're there to do a job. That's what writers, you know what I mean? That's what they always say. And it's like, okay, so this guy is doing his job, which is acting. Is that his job is not to remember all the names and to say them all correctly whenever he's not acting,
Yeah. So here's Harrison, a Force ghost. I don't know what a Force ghost is before going into a whisper, so not to disturb rabid Star Wars fans. Don't tell anyone. I'm not talking loud enough for your recorder. I have no fucking idea what a Force ghost is. And I don't care.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't care. That's steals it with that. Like,
I don't expect actors to be super fans of anything they're involved in. I just don't. I don't. And the thing about that is the people that are arguing this, that are saying, these actors should know 50 years of history. These 20, 21-year-old actors should know 50 years of history and every single thing about Star Wars, as if they don't have a life. They're doing their own thing. How many things are they acting in? What other things are they obligated to? They don't have the same free time that the general public has to go and learn all of these things. So what are they supposed to do? Turn down the jobs? No, I don't want that job. You know what I mean?
Each actor or whoever has to be a super fan in order to be cast or hired or whatever. And like, then they probably have to pass some kind of trials too. You know what I mean? Like, if they didn't pass the trials, how can they be?
But these are the same people that say that something like being gay isn't beneficial to a gay character in a movie. So the actors have to be super fans of everything they watch, but we don't have to cast gay people as gay characters because anybody can act, right?
I got news for you. A character in particular, maybe not necessarily an actor, but a character being queer is far more relevant to the story than whether the actor playing them knows, character names that don't have anything to do with the thing he's in.
Absolutely. I just, it's so funny to me to hear these arguments because, again, when somebody goes in to act in a movie or a TV show or whatever, when they're going in and they're reading the script or reading the screenplay or whatever it is they're doing, they should be able to read whatever that is and learn everything they need to know about whatever they're doing in that project from that particular piece of work. Like, if they have to talk to the director, the producer, whoever it is going in for a job, they should be able to learn all that from those things. They shouldn't have to go back and watch 50 years of media. Is that the expectation moving forward? What about Doctor Who? How many fucking years of Doctor Who are there? Like, you're supposed to go back and watch 60 years of TV? Like,
to be honest, man, I think we're taking it far too seriously because they're not taking it seriously. They're just finding things. I don't know if you noticed, but like whenever the show first dropped, a couple episodes in was whenever I was still seeing the main two things I saw going around. The big things were the fire in space. And then like another one was not nearly as much, but I did see it a few times, was the little fruit knife that spoiler alert in the first episode, the fruit knife that killed so-and-so, and like those are both things that happen within the first few minutes of the episode. And then, it just became clear that a lot of people aren't watching, or they're just watching, in the first thing that they see that they can kind of like twist into something, they're running with it.
Right.
So, I mean, these people generally aren't being serious about their criticism. It's not even like they're actually, they have these standards. It's just shit they're saying just to say it.
Star Wars Theory, I feel so. I never really watched his content to begin with. I know he was the largest Star Wars channel on YouTube. He's been that way for a while, I think for several years now. I went back and watched some of his older stuff, and he's definitely switched for money. He's definitely switched his opinion because he knows there's more money in the grifty side of Star Wars. So his love for whatever it was is now a secondary to complaining about every little thing. Like for example, when Indara, in the first episode when she's fighting who we thought was Osha, May. Sorry if I spoiled that for anybody. Fighting in the beginning of the season, and the battle in that first episode was really good, I thought. There's two things that happen there. First of all, we have May, who manages to trick Indara and hit her right in the heart with a dagger, right? So that happens. And then she leaves the lightsaber. So two things there I took away as a viewer was that this person is very dangerous. They were able to defeat a Jedi, and they have no interest in lightsabers. So what is their story? That was my takeaway from that.
I mean, my angle on the lightsaber was that this must be personal, because it's kind of like you feel like if it's just a Sith versus Jedi thing that they're going to collect the lightsaber for, trophy or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, if it's personal, then yeah, you're just going to leave that shit.
And keep in mind, if May would not have done these things where we see her actually doing things to prove herself, they would have called her a Mary Sue. So they ask for more context. They want to see story building for characters to help understand why they're so badass. And then when they're given those things, it becomes another problem is introduced. Right? So it's another issue is that this whole thing happened with Indara and she left the lightsaber and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. If Indara would have survived, that would have been a problem as well. So that was a no-win argument. If May kills her, then that's an issue. And if May hits her with the dagger and she survives, that's an issue. So there was no scenario there where they wouldn't have complained about it.
Nope.
This is why I have such an issue with any of this discourse. I did a positive review of the first two episodes because I thought they were pretty strong. I had nitpicks about them, but overall I enjoyed myself watching them. I thought they were very fresh, very different. Everybody I was with had a good time. I could not wait to talk about it, and I was very energized about it. Got to episode 3, wasn't really feeling it, but not for the same reasons that other people complained about it. My review of episode 3 has received more views than my reviews for episode 1 and 2 because I was complaining about it. Even though it wasn't the same issues that everybody else was having, the point is that I was not totally satisfied with the episode. And that's where we are with Star Wars on YouTube. Would you agree with that? I feel like that's where we're at, honestly.
I mean, honestly, I do, and I kind of agree that that's really just where we are. Period. In a way, like negativity is what gets clicks. That's the engagement driver is conflict and hot takes and just like talking shit on things.
I feel like there's a whole thing on YouTube of people that don't watch stuff, get mad at something that they're not watching because someone else told them that it was bad.
Oh yeah.
What is that?
More prevalent than I think we probably can even realize.
What the fuck is that? What do you even call that? They're not watching the content. They're not engaging in it. They're simply listening to someone else tell them that it's bad.
It's kind of like it kind of reminds me of like fantasy football or something. Where it's like you're not actually doing anything. You're just kind of like, I don't know. It's the laziest way to engage.
Okay, so we're gonna try and watch a little bit of this. I can never predict how long I'm gonna make it through one of these videos, but it is a Az and Eric video. Here, all right, and I wanted to show the title here: Indoctrinating Children. So get ready for whatever this is, whatever this is gonna be. I've got it to 1.25 because 10 fucking minutes. I don't think there's any way. I'm going to tell you guys right now. I don't think there's any way possible I can sit through a 10-minute video where Eric just laughs and agrees with Az, because that's probably what's going to happen. I haven't watched this yet, but I saw the title and I was like, I want to just see what the first few minutes.
Hold on, let's try and do a couple of predictions real quick.
Okay, all right.
So like, how many times do you think? Or do you think Eric will turn it into something about like him and the way that he operates, or his, I don't know, some of these weirdos on Twitter or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, and then
like basically turning it into something about his real life because he's probably not watching the show.
Okay, so what? And then also, is Az going to talk about sucking dick?
I would say that maybe, but it's about lesbians, so he might be like they're scissoring each other because that's
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
But I will say the indoctrinating children thing. They're gonna. I almost feel like they're gonna go with the concept of what they did in the episode, which is raising the children to be like the ones or whatever, or choose or what. I think he's gonna try and play. It's a double entendre, basically.
Special little people and like they're special. Okay, I see.
Yeah, he's gonna probably lead into like the Jedi are trying to get kids to indoctrinate them, and that's what the left wants to do. So
that's a trick question, Craig, because he never stops. He just constantly is looking at that thing.
Yeah. And look, I have sinus issues right now, and I haven't once touched my nose in this stream. So there we go. All right, let's see what they do with this. I've tried to do it like the other day when I was streaming with low watermark, we couldn't make it through even one of the Eric and Az videos. We stopped it at like 4 minutes. So yeah, here we go.
Hi everyone, that's me watching the Acolyte episode 3. By the way, I have no idea. I really don't have any idea if Hollywood, Leslie Headland, Disney have any self-awareness. I can only assume they have zilch.
Well, we talked about it last week, did we not? Like Chris, aka Frank Gore, kind of tipped us off, right?
Yeah.
And letting us know that this 3rd episode was some of the worst. All
right, I think I should bring this to everybody's attention. EVS has approved this. When I say something is something, it is. I'm going to be right. And Park Place is a propaganda site. Period. And I was right about Bounding into Comics. I'm right about this. You can take that to the bank. This is literally just more propagation.
We gotta give them the kiss of death that we gave to Bounding into Comics.
Yeah, like, I mean,
we got some content coming out about that before too long, but like, yeah,
there's a few sites where if someone on video is reading their article, chances are they're about to lie to you, and this is one of them.
And they're not even gonna tell their lies. They're telling somebody else's lies to you.
That's what I mean. Like, is he talking about Chris Gore here? Because that's the only person I know with the name.
Yeah, he said Film Thread, I think. So.
Okay, yeah. Again, we all saw the episode. I don't know what this doom and gloom shit was they were talking about, but let's see what that Park Place, aka Propaganda Central, is saying here.
Ever seen? Okay, we already knew that was going to happen, and I remember it being brought up as a subject. Well, we were like. And I believe it was you that said it. You were like, and this was according to like the first couple of episodes. You're like, if I watched those, I would have thought they were like tripling down, essentially. Like now we have what we just saw, or what everybody has seen up to now. Prayers for those that actually looked at it, watched it in its entirety, because that had to have been rough.
So that's the thing is they are actively telling people to listen to them and not watch the content. That's essentially what they're doing here. Like, don't watch it. We'll watch it for you. And then that way you can just believe whatever it is we're going to say.
Yep. You know what I realized that's kind of funny is that I was talking to Edgy with him now last night. And like, basically the critical drinker, who said that he gets physically ill watching the show and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. All these people, they are much quicker to watch new shows like this than I am. Like they'll
binge it. They will binge it at 3:00 in the morning and watch the whole thing.
You know, I took a few days to even start. I think I was at second episode was already out when I started this, and but of course all these guys they're watching. It's like that's kind of should tell you something, maybe.
Yeah.
That, like if it was really something that they dreaded, just pure dread, then they might kind of drag their feet on it. But no, they're jumping at it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
So Anthony, look, this is interesting because I agree with this sentiment when it comes to anything. They don't need to hate the show for dumb reasons when the show gives you plenty of legit reasons to not like it. There's two things there that I agree with. Number one is if there's something you watch and you don't like it and it's a subjective reason, then you're absolutely right. There are legitimate things that people can complain about. Sure. However, legitimate complaints and nuanced conversation does not drive clicks. So they have to hate it for dumb reasons because they have backed themselves in a corner. And what I mean by that is, how many times are they going to tell you that Star Wars is dead? How many times are they going to say it? They've been saying it since 2016.
And another thing is, though, they can never just start actually criticizing things with like legit criticism because they would be teaching their audience what legit criticism is.
Yes.
You know,
I don't think they have any legit criticism of it. You know what I mean? Like, if I were to ask them anything, like, what did you think of the cinematography? How about the pacing? How was the editing? Did you think the dialogue was any good? How did you feel like the actors emoted? What did you think of the difference between the adult actors and the kids actors? Did they connect the scenes and stuff? Like, these are actual things that you would talk about when you're talking about the quality of a show. But I can almost guarantee you that they're not going to talk about that in this video.
Nope.
So
Thoughts and prayers.
But maybe we got it wrong. Maybe we have not reached the peak yet.
Dude, when I explain this episode, it's gonna blow your mind. It's imagine.
Okay, I'm going to explain it before he does, in case people haven't seen it. The episode is about a break-off coven of Force witches who have gone off on their own to hide from the Republic. They don't want to associate with Jedis or anything like that. They want to do this because a lot of what they do has been outlawed. Chime in, Dane, if I get anything wrong here. A lot of what they do has been outlawed, and so they do not trust any government or the Jedi or anything like that because they look at them with contempt because of how they've been isolated. And so they have these two children who we met in the first two episodes that were adults, Osha and May, that are spectacular because they were born outside of normal means. And so they're considered to be sort of symbiotic, or no, symbiotic, not symbiotic. What am I thinking of? They're symbols, I guess is a better term. Symbols for this like bigger story, bigger narrative within the Star Wars universe. The Jedi find out about it. They come looking for them. They're going to try and take them away at any means possible. And the two sisters don't get along with each other. So there's some drama between those two. That's the episode.
So let's try and predict how he's going to describe it, though.
Right.
He's going to say that it's a few lesbians, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or what? Rebel against the system. I don't know, and then raise gay marry and raise their kids with multiple. I don't know. You know, it's going to be dumb. I know that.
Well, first of all, I believe, and I've made a point of, I'm not going to call people ist and phobes this month. It's mostly, I want to, so what they're going to say will probably be homophobic. Just be prepared for that. I'm not saying they're homophobes. I'm saying that they might be saying some homophobic stuff.
I was thinking about just going ahead and declaring, I don't think anybody necessarily is a homophobe because, or a racist, like, you know, because in the sense that, like, if you're branded that, because they seem to think it means that if you get called that. No, I'm not going to brand anybody for their entire existence that they're this thing, but, you know, there are people that definitely say a shitload of homophobic and racist things. A couple of them are on screen right now.
So the funny thing is there's this part of gay culture that has been around for a very long time. And it's called shade, and we hear it often now, like throwing shade at somebody. Mm-hmm. But the actual art of shade is you don't have to say somebody is something. You just tell people what they're about, and then say it, and you don't have to actually brand them because people know already. So you're throwing shade at them. So I'm not going to say he's a homophobe, but he's saying a bunch of homophobic stuff. So there we go. There's a bit of shade for him before we get into the rest of this video. No, it is. It's funny because I can almost guarantee you his complaints are going to be about the most superficial elements of the episode. It's not going to get any deeper than that because he just doesn't have the capacity to understand media. Az has been thrown into the space where they're actual people. Like, as much as I dislike Critical Drinker, I think Critical Drinker understands what he's doing because he's probably smart enough to understand filmmaking. I don't think Az is that person. I think Az is just this loaf, you know, who got thrown into the space and is now riding the wave of being everybody else's wingman.
Well, I mean, I have
Gary's wingman. He's Eric's wingman. That's what he is.
I have that clip right here, actually. If you want that short of him watching whenever they watched the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. And
you can pull that up.
It's really just kind of encapsulates how fucking out of his element he is with these guys, but he's constantly trying to present himself as, I'm one of you. You know what I mean? There it is.
But here we go.
It's the point of, like, and it's like, okay, fine, it's kind of true, I guess. Like he says,
it's a good pause though, because I was going to say, did anyone else get struck by the editing's a little choppy in this trailer? Like, it feels like it's one draft away from complete.
Then Az's response to that is, it
feels like they're cutting lots of stuff out
Yeah.
of what's actually happening. So yeah, we're getting kind of like a really condensed. This scene might go on for 10 minutes.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
what
was
a
his fucking
deep-
response
Oh
to
my
like, I mean,
God.
you know, that's definitely just stating a fact about what editing does.
Mm.
You know, what trailers are.
Right, that's-
and then he thought he was saying something profound, I
Whoa.
guess.
You mean a trailer's a cut up version of the movie, just doing highlights? What?
The scenes are actually much longer in the movie.
Yeah.
That's
I remember that.
Stick with me forever, man. That just because I couldn't fucking believe it.
He literally just described what a trailer is. Like
Yeah.
that is where we're at. Like my criticism is it feels like that scene's probably 10 minutes, but they cut it down and chopped it up for the trailer.
Yeah, you know, my whole thing with that is that Mahler. I know Mahler's not a complete moron, right? Like he's a dipshit, if that makes any sense, but he's not a complete moron. And so I have to feel like in moments like that Mahler's just sitting there like biting his lip, just like, oh, this fucking guy's so stupid, but I have to pretend to like him. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, because the issue is this is why Az is in such a good spot, I guess, when all of this. His two biggest supporters are Gary and Eric. And if anybody were to like go after Az for any reason, they're risking connections to Gary, which is probably the bigger threat, but also having to deal with the Rippaverse fans. So
got
it's
a
like,
question, though. If he hadn't had that viral moment with the pronouns, do you think he would still be such a hot commodity at this point?
probably not. And I'm wondering if that's why, because I think that Eric, I'll be honest, I don't know why Eric still associates with them, to be straight up. Like, because I don't necessarily think that if you go to like the Mahler subreddit and stuff, people don't like Az.
Right.
I mean, Az has Az fans, but I think most of the fans of these other folks don't like him.
Yeah,
So-
I've seen a lot of Mahler EFAT fans don't like a lot of these guys, really.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen that quite a few times, but and that's another stream, another video.
Yeah. So let's see what he has to say about this episode here in terms of his synopsis of it.
Right in an episode where you are trying to make one side appear to be, inverted commas, the good guys, inverted commas, while making them scum. Just pure scum.
Did you say just
The kicker, which is
inverted
going to come,
commas? What?
Yeah, let's listen to that again.
good guys, inverted commas, while making them scum.
Inverted commas.
Yeah.
The fuck is he saying?
Hold on.
I guess he's trying to say inverted quotes because he's doing quotations, but like, I don't even know what that means. That might just be me being dumb. I don't know.
They're basically used to mark off quotations in a sentence in a direct narration, which I mean that's what they're normally used anyway. So
Yeah.
I guess he just means just in air quotes, I guess.
Okay,
That's what he's talking
well.
about, I'm assuming. All right, let's go.
I guess we can't pause it every time Az says
It's
something really
pure
dumb.
scum. The kicker, which is going to come later, that everything that transpired in this episode towards the end, which we already know if you've watched the show, is the space which is place gets burnt down because
Yeah, let's go back.
Constantly just bouncing his head
Yeah.
whenever.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. He's going to just agree and nod along with everything Az says. That's where we're at.
episode
Well,
towards the
Maestro,
end.
I mean, inverted
Which we
commas.
already know if you watch the show
They
is-
apply to that at all? What he's saying? Like,
Yeah, I don't
anyway,
know.
but yeah, he's just
That's
bouncing
a
his
good.
head.
That's a meme waiting to happen. The little.
I don't
red
think
Bob
Eric
thing.
even is paying attention. You know what I mean? Like he's.
I
just-
feel like he's watching another screen, just reading something half the time when this is going on. I mean, it says "read" right there behind him on the wall, so maybe that's what he's doing.
Is the space which is, place gets burnt down because May burnt it down. It's going to be revealed, obviously, that it's the Jedi that burnt it down.
Right.
But after watching this episode, I'm like,
Oh my god! So you're upset that everyone got what they were trying to convey in the episode. I'm pretty sure everybody assumes after watching this that the Jedi are covering something up. That was implied. It was implied from the first episode of the season when Saul didn't want to basically say everything that happened. It's been implied since the first episode.
Yeah.
So his issue is that the misdirect with May is supposed to, there's a problem with that.
Well, the thing
I
is,
think the point of that is that OSHA probably doesn't know what happened. May not exactly know what happened. We don't know yet. So the misdirect isn't necessarily for us. It's for some of the characters in the show. That was the whole
Did
point.
you know that they actually knew that there was the whole twin twist of the plot, which, I think they thought it was going to be much later in the show that there was going to be revealed or whatever. But like, they learned that by apparently one of the trailers that was put out, like in the captions, it had something like OSHA saying something, but it was supposed to be May saying it or something like that. You know what I mean? So it was like revealed the trick before the show even came out, and they were grifting on that for a couple of days, like, oh, Star Wars ruined its own plot twist or whatever. So they're
but I mean, the thing about the mystery with the Jedi and the witches isn't just for us; it's for the characters in the show. Right. So some of that information is being withheld purposely because there might be another thing that happens. Like, I don't know, maybe some of the witches survived that we don't know about. So they keep that from us because it's going to be revealed later on. All right. Let's see.
Like, good. I am. Seriously.
So no sympathy for the good guys.
Yeah, I'm like, good. They did the right thing and fucking exterminated those vermin.
So why are they vermin?
Who's vermin? Who's he talking about?
He's calling the witches vermin. He's saying the Jedi did the right thing by exterminating the vermin. What makes them vermin?
Well, because they were deviating from the norms, of course. They
didn't fall in line. Is basically what it is. They didn't fall in line.
They're like, hey, we don't like the system and the way that they do these things. We're going to go do our own thing over here. And then they had the nerve to think of themselves as special.
I think vermin's a pretty pointed word, though.
Like,
I feel like that's a very pointed word. Vermin feels almost a little
genocide-y.
Yeah. Referring to other beings, living beings, as vermin.
Yeah, there's historical precedent.
Yeah, that's not a good look. As I'm trying to be good this month and not call everybody istanphobes, but that's not a good one. Calling other people vermin.
Well, you can't spell Nazi without as. Oh, sorry. I shouldn't have gone.
No, sorry.
The Jedi are the good guys, period.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let them live. Wipe the fucking bitches out. They're an indoctrination cult.
Well, I told you. I knew it. I knew that's what he was going to do. I knew it.
What the fuck is the Jedi?
The Jedi. So the whole point is the Jedi wanted to take the kids to indoctrinate them as Jedi. That was what was happening in the episode. The Coven believes that the Jedi are taking their kids to indoctrinate them, and the Jedi believes the Coven is indoctrinating kids. So, is there a better indoctrination process there? If we're going to argue that's what it is, if that's the argument we're making.
Oh man, it's so dumb. I'm trying to even like figure out what the point is. It just.
My goodness. All right.
They're a commie indoctrination cult that just
commie.
Interesting. I've seen that before too about this. I've seen somebody else say that.
You guys wonder why I can't listen to this idiot. Like he is just so fucking stupid.
The reason that like I think that Eric is probably keeps him around and that anybody even gives a shit is because he says he says dumb things, but a lot of their audience, he's saying the words that they want to hear, and he says them really impassionedly, even if he is performing it. It gets them all excited. It gets their blood pumping a little bit, and you have to get that every once in a while with this content, because if you've been watching it long enough, it's kind of like a drug, or it's exactly like a drug that it doesn't have the same effect it used to anymore, and you're kind of like getting bored with it. But then Az comes along and he says the same shit, but with a lot more, rage, performative rage and stuff like that. He says, commie cult. And they're like, oh yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's.
Great. I've seen a lot of the aftermath, watching even normies, watching folks that have maybe denied the infestation.
Even coming around and saying,
yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
That's what I'm saying. It's getting more and more absurd and more extreme.
They have to be
with the language they're using.
I feel like they must have decided to do this before this show, before this video, right? Like them saying vermin and infestation like that, like they are in sync and I think they probably fucking planned it. Like they know that they're gonna say this and they're gonna push it a little bit further and they're gonna get people reacting to it and shit like that. Man,
yeah,
fuck these guys so fucking
but
hard.
to see, this is exactly why when people come into my comments and they're like, why do you make videos and talk about these guys? This is why. They are referring to people in my community as infestations and vermin.
But they've got the reasonable doubt because like they're not saying it's because they're queer.
No.
You
but
know?
It just so happens that it's always queer people that they say this about. It's always queer people. So
fucking
yeah.
What in the fuck did I just watch with this third episode? And that to me is intriguing. We watched yesterday even Star Wars Theory's like reaction to it, and that had to been pretty tough for him to watch.
Why would
Yeah,
it be
like,
tough for him? Like he's recently, like I would say within the last 8 months, 9 months, he's been pretty chuddy. I mean, I don't think this should
act like they're so hard and they can fucking, you know, they're just badasses and whatnot. The alpha male bravado crap that they do. And
yeah,
it's
when
like,
did that become a part of Star Wars? When did this like bro shit become a part of Star Wars? When did this happen?
It really was. It's just been, you know, it's been glommed onto it by these people. But like, you would think they could handle watching a show with some people that, you know, that are like, I don't know. It just, there's no other fucking word for it other than the things they're saying.
Yeah,
are very homophobic.
So I think people forget that Star Wars is intended to be all ages. So the storytelling often errs on the being more simplistic because kids are meant to be able to watch and enjoy. Yeah. Exactly. That's why this level of film and TV criticism that they're giving is ridiculous, because the people that are typically watching this, other than like these kinds of guys, are not concerned about the kind of details that they're complaining about. So also it's a little weird that, and I've been saying this for a while, I guess I should start saying it again because it's been sort of out of my vernacular for a bit. Star Wars is intended for all ages, which means there's going to be kids on YouTube searching for Star Wars content if they watch something and they love it. Imagine them coming across this kind of content.
Oh yeah. I mean, dude, like I still get comments about the initiative mission statement that we did early on. Like in the thumbnail I made for one of the thumbnails, it says one of them said groomers, the other one said predators, and people lose their shit over that because they, you know, like they only think of it in that one way. But I'm like, no, I mean it. They are literally that, in the literal sense that they are fucking preying on young people, children on YouTube because they don't have their content. Like you've pointed out before, they don't have their content age restricted.
They don't. You know, it would show up. It would show up. It would say you have to be 18 or older to watch the video, and they don't do that. So,
and they know that that's the case, and so like they are literally knowingly, intentionally putting out content like this, where they're fucking calling, you know, queer people, but they're not because they're queer. They're not directly saying that, but they're calling them vermin, and they're saying it's an infestation, and you know, terms that are often used for the undesirables of society throughout history and shit. And it's like, dude, y'all are fucking. You want to talk about indoctrination cult? Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. There we go.
But before we really dive in, I do want to say that I think that the context is very important. And I brought this up with who Star Wars Theory will be joining us, by the way, in Fan Expo Denver. So big shout.
For
once Eric July thinks context is important. That's new.
Star Wars Theory is joining them.
Yeah.
I guess a Ripaverse panel or the Fellowship or FNT or something, joining them at a Fan Expo. Interesting. Very interesting. But now they're shocked that he had a negative reaction to all of this. Yeah.
Right out. You know, he brought up the whole, okay, yes, these bunch of these women, these lesbians, what have you, you know, he wasn't tripping.
By the way, can I just stress before you carry on?
Yeah.
When we go space lesbians, we're not just being insulting.
No. The literal space
of women. Yeah, they are literally lesbians.
Because you guys have cared about how you've branded people in the past, so you want to make it clear that now when you're calling them lesbians, you're not being insulting, because you have done it to so many people in the past that somehow this needs clarification.
It's a weird defensive posture for Ass to suddenly take. Like, It's just odd.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like he makes fun of people having sex when they're gay men. But but don't get mad that we're calling them lesbians because they are.
And he looks like right now. He looks like the fucking. No, never mind. That would make him endearing. Forget it. I gotta go get my cat. He's scratching at the door. I'll be right
Okay,
back.
all right.
Yeah. Okay, they are literally lesbians. So it's not an insult because it's just a group of women, which is bad enough. But it's an actuality. They are space lesbians.
Not being hyperbolic. No, that is literal space lesbians. And he talks about the other issues as well. And what I want Theory as well as other people who.
So in this review, instead of Eric giving an opinion or Az giving their opinion, they're going to tell you what someone else said. They're going to talk about what Star Wars Theory said, because unlike these two guys, as grifty as Star Wars Theory has become, this is somebody who probably does know a lot about Star Wars, opposed to Eric, who I don't think knows much of anything about Star Wars, apparently, and Az, who feels like one of these guys who did a deep dive one day, and now he's regurgitating that stuff in video. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not like, if I stopped to call out all of their bad takes, we'd be sitting here for 5 hours. I mean, yes,
Really
misogynistic stuff,
which is bad enough.
Yeah, misogynistic stuff.
Yeah.
Who are, God bless them, a lot more optimistic about.
So I just saw the latest comment.
God bless them, a lot more optimistic about the future. But what I think is very important that people understand is those points that, for example, Theory brought up with how some of these aspects don't make sense and they're lore breaking.
Yeah,
you have to address that former issue. Why do you think all that stuff ended up on the back burner? It's because it's being created with people that are prioritizing space lesbianism overall.
So let's talk about that. And I said this in my video. This was probably the most Diet Coke version of what space lesbians would be, because there was almost no deep dive into what that means for their society, other than the two women, Anasia and Coral, other than the two of them raising children together. That was it. There really wasn't any other conversation about that. And you could literally make that whatever you wanted in your mind.
That's actually valid criticism that they could, they should probably kind of give us more of a glimpse into that.
Yes.
I mean, like, so far, all we know about, queer anything in Star Wars is, you can have gay droids, R2-D2 and C-3PO. That's it. That's all we know.
Yeah, I mean, so like I said this off camera with, I can't remember who I was talking to, but my thing was, if you're going to add in these like lesbian women as Force witches, whatever, if you're going to do that, you're never going to make these guys happy by playing it safe, because it doesn't matter to them. Like, it doesn't matter to Eric that there was no real romance in the episode. It doesn't matter to Az that there was no actual like a woman on woman action or whatever. It doesn't matter to them. The simple fact that they were told beforehand that there would be this lesbian witches coven, right, working together or whatever. The fact that they knew that was enough for them to be mad. So stop playing it safe for these guys. You're not going to win them back over. And I can guarantee you the fans who love this kind of content, the ones that are tuning in for it because of what you're doing, would appreciate a little bit more in the story in terms of like, if you're going to do representation, because you go on interviews and stuff and you talk about it. It's not enough. These guys are going to attack you no matter what. Like, it doesn't make sense to play it safe.
1,000%, dude. Like, yes, these companies, these studios need to recognize that you can't keep trying to, like, just tease these things into the, culture or whatever, and like expect that it's not gonna, have blowback or whatever, because they will literally find any fucking thing they can, fires in space, whatever it is, to grift about it. And if it really is silly. And I mean, it's silly is not the right word for it. It's fucking upsetting and harmful.
Yeah. Because at this point, what they're doing, and they're doing it without even realizing it, they're actually placating to these guys, and they're proving something to them by not putting their foot on the pedal. And so they need to stop doing that. A lot of lip service does not help. It simply gives them more fuel. If you're going to do it and commit to it. Maybe they will. Maybe later on in the season, this will come back around and we'll get more. But what happened in this episode was just surface level stuff when it comes to this.
Of course, you're going to miss everything else. Why wouldn't you? Because you're not going into it with like, I'm trying to make the best Star Wars. No. And you told us.
So again, let's see what he has to say here, because he's going to say you told us that. I want to hear what he cites is his for that reason.
With like, I'm trying to make the best Star Wars. No. And you told us that. We watched the interview last week. Gayest Star Wars yet. Everybody.
So the fact that it's the gayest Star Wars yet somehow in his mind means that they did not want to make a good product. Please explain to me why that is a correlating factor for him. Because they value gay people at 0. They value queer people at 0. So when you say you're making something with that in mind, their immediate response to that is you don't like the stuff you're working on because you're trying to put gay stuff in it.
Unless they're, a couple of sisters that have, kind of done some weird gay shit amongst themselves in the past that he hires to, do his female-led book. Yeah, we can't even get into that. That's a whole other angle of the hypocrisy of Eric July. There's the bigotry, and then there's also just a fucking rank hypocrisy. This dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, we're gonna watch a little bit more, but we might have to skip out on this one because I feel like it's not gonna. Okay. So this is why I feel this way. Let me explain to you guys why I feel this way about it. At around the 5-minute mark of any video, if we're halfway mark of any video, at that point when you're watching a video, they should be giving you some sort of actual content to latch onto. And this is what I think about when I make my videos, which is why early on I try to discuss as much as I can before I get to the end of my videos. We're 5 minutes in and they have not really raised any sort of like complaints. Like say, for example, you watch the episode, you come in, you don't know anything about these interviews. You don't know anything about these backstories. You don't know anything about Star Wars theory. You're simply clicking on this because of the video title and the people that are in the video. Nothing has been discussed. Really.
You ever notice that, like, they always start off and they're kind of just like playfully kind of like, teasing at what they're going to talk about. And they've already been laughing about whatever it is. It's like this video is a pretty good example of how they often, will start. Not just them, but like anytime there's a couple of these guys on a video together, it's like, they're like, yeah, well, and they're kind of like, they're trying to make it fun, lighthearted at first, but then, usually by halfway mark, they're getting more serious, their tone's getting more stern, and they're using language that is pretty upset. I've just seen it, that kind of like that formula play out several times before.
That's why I got to keep pausing at Blackwing Gaming, because the brain rot will seep in if you don't pause and take a moment. Yeah, Jalen, that's the other thing, is it's very clear these guys don't give a shit. They don't care, because I'll go back to X-Men 97 before we click on a little bit more of this. The fact that, and Furiosa, okay? So X-Men 97 and Furiosa were actually steps in the right direction in terms of what these guys want from Hollywood. And instead of riding that wave and trying to reignite the stuff that they want to see, they did not do that. They doubled down on the criticisms, or they ignored it altogether for clickbaity titles, and absolutely missed the point of it. If you guys didn't see my last live stream, I uploaded the video where I was on, I think Low Watermark was with me, and we talked about Nerdrotic's review of Furiosa, where he did like an 8-minute video. I think it was 8 or 9 minutes long. 7 minutes of the video, he was pretty much singing the praises of the movie. And then at the very end, the last minute of the video, he's like, oh, but they could have added in like OG Mad Max Mel Gibson. Well, they didn't even say it, just Mel Gibson, right? That was it. Like they want his old ass in the movie, even though there was absolutely no reason for him to be in it, because they admitted the movie was good. I know people that went and saw it 3 times. So weird. So they don't care. They don't care about Hollywood or media. They do not care.
Agree that for sure, in multiple ways, it is the absolute gayest Star Wars. Yeah, but that seems to be your priority, and that's why people are.
Did she say that was the priority, or did she make that as a statement? That's the misleading shit that gets under my skin. She did not say it was my priority to make this the gayest Star Wars ever. She did not say that. That is a false statement. Kind
of a joke. They're kind of joking around with that.
Yes. Yeah, the same thing with the whole R2D2 is a lesbian. Like, all of these are jokes. It seems like anytime somebody in the queer community makes a joke, we're not allowed to. We have to be 100% serious all of the time. But then when we get offended by something, oh, it's just a joke, bro. You have no sense of humor.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the shit I'm talking about. But either way, she did not say that it was a priority to make this the gayest Star Wars ever. He slips that shit in there, and his viewers have not fact-checked him. And so now he has established that her statement, and Dane, you know this because you dealt with this shit on stream before, where somebody listens to something they say, like with the way the racism stuff was dealt with. They listen to something that these guys say, and they never double check to find out what was actually said.
No, because it feels true to them. You know, it fucking feels true, and it fucking confirms their bias, and that's all they need. You know, these guys are so feelings based. It's ridiculous. You know, that's why it doesn't matter what they're saying. That's why somebody can watch this and think that they watched a review of episode 3 of the show, and it's like they've barely mentioned anything about the show.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let me my chat went away. Hold on.
I ain't a chud. Jeez, I'm just giving my Star Wars theory.
Yeah, it's being funny.
I don't think you're the same guy.
No. All right, here we go.
The positions that they're in, and it shows. It shows. So the reason I bring that up.
Please explain to me, we're 3 episodes in, what gay stuff have we had on the show other than the fact that they told us ahead of time that these 2 women were going to be, not even 2 women, that the head of the coven was going to be a lesbian. Other than that, and them raising a child together, what gay stuff have we seen in these first 3 episodes?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I saw a pretty fucking stupid tweet. Was it from Az maybe? It was like 2 women scissoring, you know, and it was like, oh look, I didn't expect them to do this in the new Star Wars or whatever. And it's like, man, y'all are seeing something that, like, it's weird that their brains go there. You know, they literally, for one thing, can't think of gay people without thinking of sex.
I can't do any more of that shit. I'm sorry. I can't.
Yeah, no, I don't want to, man. I was gonna go, you know, bear it as long as bear it as long as you wanted to. I'm here for you, but like, yeah, I'm happy to stop.
So
vermin and infestation, dude. That's what's sticking out big time.
That almost made me lose my mind. I almost became the triggered gay guy that everybody complains about on that one, because it's such pointed language when it comes to these guys, and it's very clear to me that they do it because we talk about dog whistles. That's a dog whistle. That is absolutely a dog whistle, because if you're watching them and you're unaware, you're just tuning in and you're unaware of their history or their past or the kind of content they make, you just stumble upon them, you're not going to pick up on that. But the people that know it, and they're going to pick up on that. That makes it a dog whistle. I got into a back and forth. Remember when we did our Bo de Mayo live stream?
Yeah.
And we talked about, like, basically Gooch and the Badger guy, Angry Badger. And there was like 4 or 5 other guys in the podcast with Bo de Mayo. And we were talking about just some red flags, you know, basically, that was being said there. One of the guys in that stream, and I think he got into a back and forth with you on Twitter as well. I don't remember what his name was. But he got personally offended because we were questioning why Bo de Mayo went on the stream.
Yeah.
What would the reason for that be, considering where some of these other guys' positions land, especially Angry Badger? But this other guy got mad and he's like, oh, it's a lot of different walks of life on the stream. Okay, cool. That's not what we were talking about. I was talking about why Bo de Mayo would go onto a stream with anyone that has said some of the things about him that those guys had said about him. So anybody else that was caught in the crossfire, I wasn't talking about them. I don't even know over half of the people on that stream.
Yeah, it's a victim complex for sure. It's like they, you know, we were literally just like kind of perplexed and trying to suss out, like, we started the whole thing of like, you know, let's investigate. I think that was what the stream was titled, maybe, like, is he a chud? Let's investigate. It's like, you know, and that couldn't be more right there on the nose of what our intentions were there. And I don't have I didn't come away from that with any judgment against Bo de Mayo or any, you know, I mean, have my.
I don't even actually think we came to any sort of conclusion because we are still trying to figure out if Bodamayo shares opinions with the guys on the street. We don't know. So I thought it was a totally valid conversation to have. But then that one guy got personally upset about it. Then I got another guy. He's like, well, I think he was from the stream. He's like, well, I'm a gay guy and blah, blah, blah. Okay, guess what? Gay people can still do things against their own best interest. It happens all the time. Like there's nothing saying that I couldn't be a chud tomorrow if I wanted to be. Like there's no rule against that. So that kind of defense is just ridiculous.
I don't know if you saw the clip one time where it was me and Turf and Bob were somehow it came up and it was like, you know, I was specifying you and then a chud and I was like, I'm talking about the chud, not DJ. You know, DJ's not a chud or grifter or whatever. And we were like, man, if he became a grifter, holy shit, we'd be fucked. Like he'd be really good at it.
Oh well, you know, the truth is that that people that use, so we hear about this quite often, and this is one of the things that I have to be more mindful of, is this innocence by association. Have you ever heard of this before? It's basically the opposite of guilt by association. Basically, people say that they are innocent of being this because they hang out or they associate with a certain group of people, and it's a thing. It's an actual thing. So, for example, if I were to say, I believe that, I'm just going to use these two examples. I believe Eric July is a chud because Eric July hangs out with Az. Then the response would be, well, that's guilt by association, and just because I hang out with him doesn't mean that I share the same viewpoints as him, right? But then I could also say, well, Eric July is homophobic. And then they could go, well, Eric July has some gay friends, so he can't possibly be homophobic. Those are two conflicting points of view. Like, you cannot be anti guilt by association and pro innocence by association. Like, those two things are, neither one is a defense or an offense of anything. And so that's why. What? Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I was thinking about this actually, the guilt by association thing, because I see, you know, you see that a lot with these types of guys, and it's like, I think that, you know, we need to, I reject that term, you know, and like I question, like, okay, because if that's what they often say, oh, so guilt by association. No, I'm not saying you're guilty of anything, man. I'm just saying that it informs my understanding of you. Right. You know what I mean? Like if you are good buddies with, you know, all these guys in Friday Night Tights and stuff like that, and then maybe you don't say anything directly, openly hateful very much or whatever. Like, let's say Mahler, for example. You know, he's not known for really saying a whole lot of, you know, egregious things, like directly egregious things. It's just that his opinions are often kind of like around those types of takes, and then he just hangs out with those people, and it's like, well, that really is informative. You know, no, I'm not saying you're guilty of anything because I'm not charging with a crime, but you know, you're not somebody I want to hang out with. That's for sure.
Yeah, but there's this whole idea that, like, saying my friend's gay, or, you know I have a black best friend or something like that. Those to me are not defense. Like, you can say that, absolutely. Like, you're free to say that, but I don't find that to be a defense of anything. I have a lot of friends of mine over the years who ended up going on to saying some dumb shit about gay people, but they were friends with me for a long time. So it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything to me. I believe in individual actions and patterns of behavior. Those are the two
all we
things.
are, man. We're a collection of actions and choices, and we can change those. You know, how we do those, and yeah, that's it.
Speaking of that, it's interesting. That's a good segue into this. Let's talk about some choices here. This is kind of fun. So, are you familiar with Epic Mike from the Epic verse or whatever?
Yeah, he's always just kind of forgettable, but yeah, I know who he is.
Right. So I don't have a personal opinion on him because, to be quite honest, he's around, but I don't hear him say a lot of stuff. So I don't truly know like his opinion on a lot of things. So we're just going to go with that. He's part of the Epic verse. I don't like Josiah Rises. But he posted this, right? And I'm going to read this. And then in the chat, I want you guys to take a long think about this and tell me who you think he's talking about. Because I can tell you who he's talking about. But let's read this out. Apparently, all you need to become a popular conservative on Twitter is have a vagina and pick a slur that you spam constantly. Who do you think he's talking about? Now, this was posted just the other day. Just the other day.
That's going to be Melonie Mac.
That's exactly who he's talking about. Now, let me explain the context behind that, right? So, Melonie Mac has been hanging out with the Quartering. They do a stream together. Now, I don't know how long they've been doing it together, but they've been doing it together for a while. But apparently, we had this conservative blogger. Hey, what's up, BTM Reviews? How you doing?
Yo.
Good to see you. This conservative blogger who made a video on TikTok, this white girl who used the N-word and apparently posted it on TikTok and lost her job, and then said that that was her intention, was to get canceled so she could become a conservative pundit. That, like, she made it seem like that was the intention, like, all along, right? And so success, I guess. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You got fired, and
kind of giving away the game a little bit.
Yeah. So she's been doing the rounds with that, but apparently now that's not even good enough. Like, that's not even good enough for her. Apparently, like, the people in the conservative circles now are trying to distance themselves from her too over something. I don't know what it is. So the grift didn't really work. But then we had let me see here, and I want to preface this by saying I don't even know if I should put this up. This will probably get the stream in trouble. So I'm going to read it out for you without showing it on screen. But you can look this up. You can fact check me on this one. Quartering posted out a tweet and said, and this was just from a couple days ago, and it was in reference to this conservative blogger, Lily something is her name, Lily something. We brought back the F slur, calling things gay and R-tarded. I'd say that was a pretty wild accomplishment for 2024. And now this woman got fired for saying the N-word. Are they really going to test us? They posted that. And Melonie Mac chimed in and started to echo that stuff as well. Now, I know you shared a clip on Twitter of, was it Brittany Venti that was saying it? With the quartering. So this isn't new for him. Like, he's totally down with this. Now, regardless of where you stand on, like, slurs and language or whatever, because I think there's going to be vastly different takes on this, right? There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, it doesn't bother me. Fine, it doesn't bother you. I don't get bothered by every slur either. I don't particularly like being called slurs, but it's not like it triggers me or anything like that, regardless of where you stand on it. I made a video 4 months ago when Eric July was using the F slur directed towards people on Twitter. And at the end of that video, matter of fact, I'm going to pull it up right now. I
remember you saying it on stream on the showcast too.
Yeah, I'd love to have that clip somewhere, but let me see if I can find that video. Because I
remember being like, right.
Yeah, I pretty much predicted that this was going to happen. That this was what was going to happen. And let me see, where is it at? It was the one where he used he's used fruit towards me as well, multiple times. So he's used like derogatory terms. Let me see here. Where's it at? Sorry, doing this live, everybody. All right, here we go. All right, let me see here. It's roughly here in this video, around this point. And this is the video that I made. I hate to like do video inception, but here we go.
I do it all the time. I don't
I don't know. It makes me feel weird. Anyway, go ahead.
Like, I'm often just like, look, I've said this pretty well before. I might as well show you when I know I said it in a good way instead of trying to repeat it.
So here we go. People, the more conservative people that are in this extreme space, now they're trying to bring the F slur back. So what is the next word that we're going to see come back in? I'm going to give you a second to think about it. What is the penultimate slur that has been erased from a lot of people's mouths for a while now? Starts with an N. And there's a lot of people in the conservative space that have not had to hear that word from their peers openly in a very long time. That was me 4 months ago. And do I have to do this again? When I say something, I am going to be right about it every single time. Every single time I say something, when I'm talking about culture and stuff like this, I am going to be right about it. Now, regardless of where you stand on the slurring, whether it's you have family members that use it, whether you use it at home, whatever you do, it's not popular in day-to-day interactions with people. That's the whole point. I'm not talking about being the thought police or the language police or anything like that. It's popular. Like the R slur, Dane, you've struggled with it because, like you say, when you get angry, it's something that you've gone to in the past.
I haven't said it in a while.
Yeah. So,
Actually, Defunct has a good point there. I thought about that early on and didn't say anything. I'm sorry.
oh, well, when is it starting? An hour and 11 minutes ago?
Yeah. Eventually we'll get started, guys.
Let's switch it up. Which one should I'll pick a different one here. I've got my podcast one. Let's do this one. Join the revolution. Be a part of the revolution.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much, Defunct. But everybody struggles with it. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, so I've heard slurs used very casually through most of my life. But we reached a point where in day-to-day interactions, people weren't using them as much because a lot of people were offended by it. And so they watched what they would say and this, that, and the other. And a lot of those words disappeared from interactions. The R slur was one of them. The F slur was one of them. People still said that's gay. I don't think that ever went away totally. And you know, and I don't even get offended by that. I call stuff gay sometimes too, but it's just not something you hear in like interactions normally. The N word is like the big, like no word. Like that's the word where you might be able to slide by with the other ones, but the N word is a big one. And that's why I said it's like the ultimate. It's
well,
the ultimate, right?
And the reason is, you know, I remember having discourse about slurs a couple of years ago, because, you know, there was actually there's actually discourse about cracker a couple of years ago. I remember that being a thing where, like, I think it was, I don't remember, Hassan or something got suspended for saying cracker, and it's like, you know, and I had the position that like cracker is not a slur. It's not a slur because, I mean, it is in the sense that like calling someone stupid is a slur. Like that's the definition of a slur, is just saying something derogatory term about someone. But when we're talking about it, we're talking about a specific type of slur. And yeah, like cracker isn't one because it doesn't, the reason that the N word has all of the weight behind it that it does is because of the just the history, the literal history and the literal trauma and pain that goes along with that history, and the fact that it represents, one colored person with certain amount of or lack of melanin, lording over people that have it for no fucking reason, and literally owning them and you know, abusing them and whatnot, and that's what that word represents. And so using that, the reason that, you know, somebody said something the other day, I actually said something about like, oh well, how come they can use it? I'm like, really? Because
well, that's the other thing is the quartering. That was his defense. The quartering's defense was it's in music and songs, so I can use it too. That was kind of what he did.
Ridiculous, because it's it's you know, and I've actually had a discussion with friends before that were like, well, you know what, if I'm rapping along to a song and it comes up, I just say it, and I'm like, I don't, and the reason is because I don't want to get comfortable saying it, even if I'm not saying it with any kind of hate in my heart.
Do you remember what happened with PewDiePie, with where there was a clip of him using it or whatever because it just kind of slipped out? Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. That's what happens when you say it in music. Like that's what happens. It's gonna, like, even if you don't mean it as like something bad, it's like you make something a part of your vernacular, it's gonna happen.
It's more fun to try and think of a word on the spot, and when you're singing along to replace it is what I do. So I'm like, fella, that's a pretty fun one.
Yeah,
I'm like, fella, you know, fellas.
So,
with attitude.
Anchorman says, how do you debunk when my friend claims saying the N-word a lot ain't racist? You can't. Like,
that's not a
there's people that use it know that it's a word they shouldn't be using, especially like out and about with, like if you're saying it privately. I mean, I'm not going to be somebody's personal thought police, but if you're out and about with other people and you say it, you know what you're getting into. People like it's not a mystery that the word is.
His comment before that was something about like, you know, well, I've had friends that think that, you know, it's not, they say they don't hate these people, but they say these words or whatever, and like they said that gay people make them sick or something like that. Yeah, and I'm like, look, man, you're almost never gonna find a bigot who admits to being a bigot.
Right. That's the issue is that they don't know. So, or they're ignoring one or the other.
Whether you are willing to tolerate that as someone in your life or not, you know, with someone in your life. Like, if you're like, hey, I just don't want you to say that around me, and they can't even respect that, I would really honestly suggest that you find different friends.
That is absolutely 100% it. That's it for me. If I tell you personally, I don't like that you're calling me something, you should respect me as a friend or someone in your life, just out of general decency, and go, well, I'm not going to say that to you anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's it. Like, whatever you do with your own life, however you want to speak in your own life is fine. But if you value me as a friend and you tell me, like, it's the same thing as you tell me, hey, when you come into my house, I don't want you to smoke because you step outside to smoke. Or you know, could you take your shoes off? Yeah, something like that. If I tell you as a friend, like, I don't want you calling me that or saying that to me, then I think that should be enough to be like, okay, cool, I'll try.
Danimal, I just wanted to address Danimal's comment real quick because I agree, man. I do agree that, like, yeah, there's no reason to really ever do that. I'm just saying that, like, if we're taking the two words, cracker and then the N word, I mean, just that right there tells you which one is worse. Because look, one of them, most people are not going to say, they're going to go out of their way not to say it, when the other one's just like, it's just cracker. You know what I mean? It doesn't have the same kind of weight behind it. But I do agree that there's no reason to ever try to, you know, honestly, I would probably, like, there's never no reason to ever mention race. The only reason we have to talk about race ever is because of fucking racists. You know,
well, I also find that sometimes people bring it up when it is something that is a unique trait to somebody, but not necessarily a pejorative. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that person is a proud black woman. What, you know what I mean? Like, that would be different than
that's
something negative about it. You know,
and like somebody's like, as my perspective as a whatever, then that's totally. Because those things are relevant.
Here's one for you, Dane. I have a coworker in his early 20s who's also indigenous who believes the N-word isn't a slur. So the thing about it is, I truly do not believe that people don't know that something is a slur, because that is a very specific definition. What you choose to do with that information is on you.
Well, so McLeod, so does your coworker say the word, like the actual word, at work? Because if they don't, then they do know that it's a slur. They do. You know, if they're calling it the N-word, then they're fully aware. They're just, what they're saying is that they wish it wasn't, they don't think it should be. You know, that's what they're saying.
I also want to point out that I've been on so many streams recently where people use all kinds of words that I don't necessarily agree with, right? I might tell them off stream or something, say, hey, could you not use that or whatever? But I'm not about policing language, because it's fruitless, it's pointless. So unless it's directed towards me or towards somebody I know, there's really not a lot you can do. I'd be making videos every day, like talking about somebody's lack of decorum. I don't know how to address that. You know what I mean?
I promise I'm not going to get into it with Danimal after this, but I did want to, because it actually involves the Anchorman's follow-up comment too. So the thing that I base everything on is not about what's socially worse. I'm not like, oh, what's socially more acceptable. It's harm. Okay? Cracker doesn't harm anyone. It doesn't tell anyone that, like, there's some lower position in society, or they're reminding them of their, where their ancestors are from or anything like that. Like, calling someone the N-word does have an effect that is, it's socially worse, yes, but it's like there's a psychological effect that takes place with that word. And I've heard this from black people. Like, I'm not just making this up. It's just like, it is it's like something, I'm trying to remember how it was described to me, but I don't want to paraphrase. So yeah, it's just not it's not the same thing, man. And then so Anchorman, the whole thing is, ask yourself, is this difference of opinion? Because it really is just a difference of opinion, right? Like, it's real, he's not wrong. You have two different opinions, but
that's true.
His opinion harmful? Is it potentially harmful? Is it contributing to mentalities that fucking harm people? And do you want to be okay with that? Or are you going to, turn your head to that and let him be, harmful?
Yeah.
That's really how I kind of judge it.
It really comes down to how you personally deal with it, because you're not going to change the world. You're not going to, like, telling one person not to use a slur isn't going to change the world. Nope. It really is a personal thing, because there's nothing you can do to change that. Like people have freedom of speech. The only thing is, what are the consequences of doing that personally? So, well, you can't. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you either have to accept that they're going to do that and just deal with it, or just don't engage with that person. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, I do agree with you, Daniel, that you can't. Yeah, you're right there. But it just in terms of I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I feel like can I say what is that cracker will never harm anyone? No, I cannot say that, and I cannot take it away from someone if they say that it does. Mm-hmm. However, I just strongly, all of my good sense and experience in life tells me that there's a big difference, and that's just what I'm gonna stick to, man. Like, I mean, if you want to just, be like evens even just for even's sake, then that's fine. You can do that. I mean, it's kind of a nonsensical thing to really dig into in the first place. So nonetheless, I get where you're coming from. I just I think it's, and I think probably on some level that it's not nearly the same thing. But anyway.
So Bernie, by the way, Weekend at Bernie's, great movie. I don't know if it holds up. I haven't seen it in years, but I love that first one. Okay, so this is a question. I hear this a lot, and I'm going to try and give an answer that makes sense. Why can't we all go back to peace and love to 1969, weigh everything nowadays to solve everyone's problem? Horrible it is nowadays, it is. So that's probably some sort of joke around Eric July's way of speaking. But I do want to address the first part of it because I think it does matter. The reason why is because of a lot of the people that we cover on here that do not want other people to be free. They want to keep people oppressed. They don't want people to be able to live their lives. For example, I would love to just be able to live my life without hearing people say that my community is doing something to children. But I can't do that because anytime I log on the internet, anytime I check my comment section, somebody is saying it. And guess what? I've never done anything to ever receive that kind of abuse. Yeah. But I have to deal with it because hateful people have done that. They've started that. They've brought that upon me. And there's nothing I can do about it. So I would love to go back to peace and love. I don't know if I'd go all the way back to 1969. That definitely wasn't.
I think there's a little bit of rose-colored glasses going on with that era too. There was definitely shit going on. I mean, there was sundown towns and stuff.
Yeah. But I would absolutely love for people to be able to accept it. I had a channel that I ran since 2007-ish that literally didn't touch on any of this stuff. I ignored it because people told me if you ignore them, they'll just go away. You don't have to address it. You don't have to confront them because it'll just go away. And guess what? It did not go away. It got a lot worse. And now these channels have people like Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic crossing over into Access Media and spreading this shit out beyond YouTube. Ignoring it does not make it go away. You have to call attention to it. You have to call the people out that are doing it, because if you do not, it just becomes what it is now. And it's getting worse from those guys. Now, the smaller channels, the ones that we are like trying not to engage with too much, they're seeing diminishing returns on a lot of their content. And
to kind of like, sorry, I'll let you finish your point. My bad.
No. I mean, that's basically what I was getting at. Like for me, I would love to be able to just live my life and not have to deal with it. But when I make a She-Hulk review and everybody in that review is like, oh, stay away from schools and shit like that. Like I shouldn't have to deal with that. And it doesn't come from my community. It comes from crossover from a lot of those communities.
Yeah, I mean, and to kind of like circle what you're saying back to what I was arguing a minute ago, is that yes, there is an attempt, a very obvious attempt by most people watching, probably agree. I'm sure there's some that don't. That there's an attempt to reduce any of the progress that's been made for non-cis, non-straight, non-white people in the last few decades or whatever. Especially in the last decade or so, whenever there's been a much more, I guess, social acceptance in like pop culture and whatnot. That's why this stuff exists. That's why the Fandom Menace and Comicsgate is doing what they're doing, is because they want to diminish that and prevent any more progress, which there is much more needed. But in that sense, like the N-word is a weapon of oppression in a way that Cracker cannot be. Right? Like, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. If we start seeing the N-word being used much more, just freely, and like people calling black people that, white people calling black people that all the time on the internet or whatever, and it's just like becomes the norm, that is a real marker of like, we're going backwards, guys. Whereas like it's just not going to happen with Cracker, partly because it's a silly ass word. It's like, it sounds silly to even call somebody that, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't personally get offended by a lot of the stuff, but it's not on me to say what's offensive to other people. You know what I mean? Like that's not me.
I mean, that's a good point. That's one thing that I think people don't think about a lot, is that a lot of the things that you'll hear whenever somebody's like, "Oh, you said this, what you said or whatever is harmful, it's shitty," and somebody's like, "Oh, well, I didn't mean to say it, like I didn't mean it that way," or something like that. Well, it's okay. Yeah, you didn't mean it that way, but it did have an effect. And it's like, I equate it to like, okay, you didn't mean to drop your cell phone and then start reaching around for it while you were driving and then like run over that dog or whatever, but you did. The effect happened. You know what I mean? And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway.
To sort of segue a little bit, we got a couple more things I want to cover before we go because we're an hour and 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
So have you heard about this stuff with Nick Merckx, the trans stuff in the videos that he made?
I don't think so.
Okay, so we're gonna watch this video. This is from Side Scrollers, which they're becoming increasingly more problematic. So there's a video from there, and it says streamer canceled for common sense. Nobody's been canceled. Nick Merckx has 10 million followers.
Jesus Christ.
Nobody has been canceled. I just want to be clear on that. He's being held accountable for saying some dumb shit. So, and by the way, my video about him is still limited in views. I asked YouTube to review it. They're limited in reach or whatever. I asked YouTube to review it, and it's still nothing. So maybe this one will get hit too. Anyway, I want to talk about this because I know this is a hot button topic. BTM Review says agreed, problematic. I know it's a hot button topic, but I want to just make it very clear, coming from somebody who actually is in the community, to dismiss a little of this stuff because I think it's problematic. So let's see what they have to say here.
Nick Merckx is in hot water again. If you recall, Nick Merckx had the incredibly controversial statement about a year ago now of, hey, how about we just protect the kids?
That is okay. Right away. Let's go ahead and cover that right away.
False framing.
Right. So the reason why that was controversial isn't because he said, leave kids alone, because we all know that is an anti-gay fallacy argument. It's been proven time and time again. You can look it up. He posted it in response to a demonstration about a pride flag on school grounds. So the direct connection there is he was accusing gay people of messing with children. That is why it was controversial. Not because he said it. If you just came out and said, hey, leave kids alone or whatever, and you're just saying it into the void, without any reference or context, maybe it would be presumptuous to go, well, maybe they're talking about something that I'm going to get personally offended about. Yeah. No, it was a response to a specific tweet. So be clear about that.
This was the big thing from Nick Merckx. He was a streamer, primarily Call of Duty. And he came out, and I want to show the full clip in context as he was asked. Well, I think he was kind of trolled into this during Pride Month, which, by the way, it is Pride Month. I encourage you guys to go pick up your shirts right now.
What was that? Hold on. That was a very quick. Hold on.
Which, by the way, it is Pride Month. I encourage you guys to go.
American Pride, give me liberty, or give me. I mean, it's just a generic pride. You get this from American Eagle or something.
But 1776.
Yeah.
There's some associations to go along.
Just garbage shit. Whatever. Anyway,
go pick up your shirts right now. But here is his.
It seems like
here is his.
By the way, if you want to wear that generic ass American Eagle shirt with 1776 on it, go right ahead.
Well, what happened?
Transition, Craig.
Hey, thank you very much. I'm a master host. Here we go. Let's check this out. This is what happened on his stream, and he is getting flack for this.
Oh no! Transphobes struggling against the trans game. There's no such thing as trans people.
What?
Right. So he says there's no such thing as trans people, right? Which is just. I mean, are you going to deny that trans people actually exist and live in the world? I mean, what?
There's also no such thing as a Ford trucks,
right? Look, there's a Ford truck over there. No, they're not.
Nope,
they're not real. Ford trucks are not real. Okay, and let's hear how he explains to us in caveman terms about all of this.
That's something that you created.
No.
Newsflash. English language. First of all, the English language is not the oldest language in the world. So the concept of gender as we understand it was not around in the beginning. Secondly, everything we know as human beings that we talk about and we interact with was created by us. All of it. The language we're speaking right now was created by us.
Well, I mean, I just can't help but wonder, like, why the fuck? I mean, I know why we are, because he's huge, but like, just why would anybody like listen to the opinions of a Call of Duty streamer.
Well, true. That is true. But let's listen once again. He's gonna explain it to us, Dane. I don't know why I paused it. Let's hear what he has to say here.
So have fun with your little dreamland. But that shit's not even real.
As he plays Call of or whatever game it's in.
Well, that's what I said. He's talking about have fun with your dreamland. It's not real, while he makes a living off playing fantasy games and Call of Duty. Have fun in your dreamland.
496 deaths you got. Those aren't real.
Well, they were making fun. Have you ever played any of the Elden Ring game at all?
Not really, no.
Okay, so this is Melonie, who's one of the hardest bosses in the game, and it's a character that a lot of people have deemed as being like a trans character, which is why the troll came in and said the transphobe losing to the trans character. Anyway, that was what started the whole joke.
To break it down for you, right? Penis, dude. Vagina, girl. Done.
I
wow.
see
I'm in
he's
here with that.
kindergarten cop.
Wow, man. He's really simplified it for us.
He's got it all worked out, right? It's
Okay.
he understands it.
I was getting confused, and then he just wow, man, thanks. Cleared it up.
So again, I need to reiterate this. There is a difference between what your body is biologically when you're born and what your gender is.
Yep.
I know that's really hard for some people to understand. I get it, right? It must be really difficult, even though I learned that in high school, right? I learned that in high school. So it must be really difficult for him to rationalize that that's why it is. Now, if you have an argument about gender and how gender is assigned, welcome to the community, because that is the reason why non-binary exists and all of these other gender spectrums exist, because of the fact that it is one of those things that we just made up, and he seems to have a problem with it. So welcome to the team, Nick Merckx, of people that have an issue with how gender works in the English language.
I mean,
thoughts on that?
yeah, like I feel like he that kind of guy is definitely the kind of guy that, like, if another dude doesn't like sports or doesn't like act kind of a certain way or whatever, like he doesn't even have to be like a gay guy or anything, just like a straight dude that's just kind of just more soft spoken and doesn't isn't aggressive or whatever, like he would probably like question him being a man, like he would throw his manliness, masculinity into doubt, right? Like that right there is an admission that, like, you do understand on some level that there is some nuance of like what gender is compared to sex. Like there's an implicit admission there, even though they would not be able to, you probably wouldn't be able to understand that, but you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's
when I hear him talk, this is what I think about.
Talk. Shut up, bitch. Shut the fuck up.
I mean, that's it, really. All right, let's hear what Side Scrollers has to say. These three very in touch with the queer community individuals who are totally going to look at this and go, that sounds a little problematic, but let's see what they have to say here.
That's right.
Noted hate film, Kindergarten Cop.
Yes.
The most impressive thing about that clip is he's somehow playing Elden Ring in the background. Like, how?
Because that was did they miss the entire fucking beginning of that?
I think so. I think that, yeah. I mean, which goes to show you this channel that's named after, about video games is not focusing on the video game aspect of this.
Right. The whole joke was because they said the transphobe is playing against losing to a trans character. Like, that was the joke. All right.
I can't multitask for shit.
Yeah, I was getting.
Okay, wait. So what the fuck are you doing on a podcast about gaming? Isn't it called Side Scrollers because it's supposed to be a gaming forward podcast?
Yeah,
If
just
you're
like
not
Geeks
someone
and
that
Gamers.
games,
They're all
multitask,
Geeks and
what are you
Gamers on
doing
there.
on there? Oh, sorry, what'd you say?
I said just like Geeks and Gamers is all about being geeks and gamers. They're I'm being sarcastic. They're
I can play video games, listen to a podcast, and eat food at the same time. Like what are you talking about?
I cannot do that. I got to tell you, cannot do that.
Genuinely impressed with that as well.
Right.
What's funny is the response to this on X in particular was like, well, it's one of two things. Well, he's not wrong, or he's not wrong, but he's gonna get canceled.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, that's not the only responses. What the fuck are you talking about?
How could those be the only two responses if he's getting canceled?
Yeah, I mean,
There has to be more than two.
right. If those are the two responses, then there would be. By the way, again, he's across all social media. He's got like 10 million followers. So
It's like
yeah, it's
canceling
ridiculous.
Dave Chappelle. You know?
Yeah. By the way, I want to reiterate, I don't think, and before we get further in this, I am not someone that necessarily supports cancel culture across the board. I know the joke in my title is the official cancel bear. That's a whole another can of worms. But I think causing people to be more aware and be accountable and possibly make changes, that's more important to me than cancel. Like you'd have to do something absolutely egregious for me to be like, cancel that person. There's no hope. You know, lock them away. I mean, there's some people that have done stuff like we're talking about really egregious stuff where I'd be like, they have to be canceled. But for me, I would rather see people try to change and become better.
Yeah,
people.
absolutely.
That's what
man.
I would rather. So,
You know, accountability culture is what I'm about. You know, like I mean, for me, and I'm always gonna kind of go to this is like I'm very word specific. Like I don't like letting these words kind of float around and get used all over the place without anybody thinking about what we're saying, what we're meaning. Like, you know, so you know, woke is a great example of that. Of like can mean very different things depending on who's saying it. But like, if we're talking about taking someone's livelihood away from them and whatever, like that almost never happens in a way that they try to present that it does. You know what I mean? Like and for the most part, what I see is that someone being canceled on the right or whatever often ends up with them having a new audience. You know, they end up like kind of having a new grift often, or just at least a new angle on their career.
I mean, just previously that one conservative woman who used the N-word said she was doing it purposely to grift, to basically get in the grift.
Well, I mean, there's been one of the first guys that was canceled was Louis C.K., right? And amongst that era of the cancel culture and Me Too and stuff, it's like, well, he's back, he's doing stuff, he's making money, he's, you know, got people talking about him like he's the best. You've got who else was there? There's the first guy that really went down with the Me Too movement was the Honest Trailers dude. He got another channel now. He's doing his bull.
To my Andy Signor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
you know.
Yeah. Right.
It doesn't seem to be that it's something that actually has any real. You know, I mean, yeah, it's probably really uncomfortable and sucks to be publicly shamed and stuff like that. But you know, I don't know, make better choices.
I've had a lot of pushback on it, so I'm going to give the story on the cancel bear thing because I think where's it at? I want to add it here under my name. So this sits under my name, and it's the name of my podcast and everything, the official cancel bear.
Sure.
So, and this is clip this if you want because it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Back in the day, there was a website called TV by the Numbers. Now, TV by the Numbers was a website that would keep track of how many viewing numbers a show got when it was on live. And I used to do a stream, or it was actually, this is before streaming was big. I used to do like a long video that I upload where it would talk about shows that could possibly get a renewed or get canceled. And TV by the Numbers had a Twitter account called the Cancel Bear. And the Cancel Bear would give their predictions on whether a show would get canceled or renewed for next season.
Oh.
So my name, the official Cancel Bear, comes from that because I thought it was funny. And that Twitter account has been dead forever. It might be gone by now. I know Twitter's removing accounts that are inactive, but the Cancel Bear was a Twitter account that talked about the cancellation of shows, and that's where it came from. Okay. So it has nothing to do with cancel culture. A lot of people talked about that, and I was like, no, that's the fun part about it, is that it's an inside thing that could be perceived a certain way, but it's not really.
I assumed it was you being ironic about something, yeah.
But see, that's the thing is that is actually what I wanted people to think. But I always knew there was another story to it. So now that's the backstory. That's the lore on the title. Anyway, let's see if we go here.
It's one of those things. So, Blatz, you have some thoughts on Nick Merckx?
Well, I kind of see him as a bit of a flip flopper. So
A
TLDR,
lot of these streamers are like that.
Exactly, but like TLDR, when the whole BLM stuff was happening, he was getting a lot of backlash because he was like partnered with the National Guard. And so he terminated that partnership because you're like, oh, you know, against the protest, the National Guard stopping the peaceful protest, peaceful, right? So like there was all this stuff. So
you know, she used air quotes for that with the peaceful thing. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So
inverted.
Hold on.
Yeah.
What are you talking about here? I don't quite understand.
Well, he cut ties with the National Guard amid nationwide protests in 2020. The National Guard was called in during the peaceful protesting.
Oh, this is in 2020. I see.
Yes, yeah. So like he totally was like, oh, mob rule. Even he didn't stand for principle.
So I'm trying to understand what the flip-flopping is going to be here, because does Blabs connect the BLM stuff directly to just trans existence? Because otherwise, what's the flip-flopping? It would be different if he supported trans people in 2020 and now he doesn't support trans people. That would be flip-flopping. This has nothing to do with trans people. So unless we're going to see her show something where Nick is like, I don't support BLM, then that would be the only way it would be flip-flopping. So maybe she's going to show that. But if this is the beginning of like, he did this and now he's like anti-trans, somehow showing that as flip-flopping, that's not flip-flopping. So
I don't know. I really don't know what she's talking about.
Let's see what she's going to go here.
Principles, whatever was the better opportunity for him. And then he said what he said about like Call of Duty, like leave the kids alone, and somehow that was taken as transphobic and anti-LGBT, which I don't understand how that too.
Well, let me explain it to you, Blabs, because there is this history of using that term, we've talked about it already, to paint queer people as predators for kids. That is the context. It's very simple. All you have to do is look it up online, like 5 seconds, and you'll find it, right? So that is why it was considered an anti-LGBT thing. Now, I don't know if Nick knew that. He might have been repeating what other people have said about queer people. It doesn't make it any better, but it's quite possible that he heard some other person say it, and then he just started repeating it because it came like this rally cry, like everybody was saying it for like a year, like, back in 2022, into 2023. So it became a rallying cry. So maybe he didn't know that, but once somebody tells you that this is problematic for this reason, your response to that tells me everything. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that his response to that at the time was, I was taken out of context. I didn't mean that, blah, 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 whatever. He did say that at the time when that came out. That was sort of his defense, which is why making this video now was so out of pocket, because he had already said that he was misunderstood when he said that back in 2023. So that's more of a flip-flop than the BLM stuff.
It's kind of like that. Sometimes bigots just, they want to come out on their own terms. They don't want to be forced out,
Right. So anyway,
I'm not saying he's a bigot, but he said a bigoted thing.
Well, that's what I mean is that's why I've over my time on YouTube, I have learned that nuance is really important on how I address people. And so say, for example, giving him the benefit of the doubt, maybe he didn't know, but it's still a bigoted statement. It's still an anti-queer statement. So you have to at least acknowledge that. And once you know that, then see where it goes. Because I'll be honest, just like the whole fruit thing, a lot of people didn't realize that fruit was like an anti-gay term either until I was like, yeah, it's an old school one.
It's an old school, but it checks out.
Yeah. So.
Or like, and so he left Call of Duty, rightfully so. I agree with him on that. But then he went back to Call of Duty. So again, you see what I'm saying here? He's flipping.
Oh.
And then the other day he tweeted out something about like Trump 2024. And we're like, oh, okay. And then, so it's like, I don't know, like I can't really.
So that's funny to me. So this is something that I think is really interesting. She is assigning political support to social issues based on allegiance or like association. Yeah. So there's no way Nick Merckx could be a Trump supporter and also support BLM.
Right.
That's impossible. There's no way Nick could be someone that supports the trans community but also supports Trump. That's impossible.
Yeah.
So immediately her mind goes to political alignment, which I think is one of the biggest problems we have right now, is how people think that because of where you are politically, that has to define how you feel about everything in the fucking country. And I think that's a big fucking issue because it bullies people into taking stances that they may not want to take.
100%.
So that's a really interesting thing for her to say.
Believe everything he says when he's flip-flopping. Perhaps he's seeing another light and he's like, I'm done with all this bullshit. I'm sick and tired of it, which is entirely true. But at the same time, he's a streamer with a mouthpiece and whatever makes him money. I feel like he's going to go for that. And not to mention, he blocks a lot of people who say anything against, whatever he says. Like any different opinion, he'll be like, "Oh, block." So it's like,
You know,
what's wrong with that?
I don't know. It's
She said it like it was a negative. Like
well,
people
they
can block
think
whoever the fuck they
blocking
want to
is
block.
like a sign of cowardice or something. And it's just like, I don't know, man. It's a sign that like there's too many people on the internet to put up with everybody who's saying dumb shit to you. You know?
I'm gonna assume that Blabs has no people on her block list then, if that's how she feels. I'm just gonna assume that. All right.
So I got a few things on this, right? The idea of him going back to Call of Duty, I think he's going to do what he needs to do to make money for his family, right? Mm-hmm. And if he saw a dip because he felt like he needed to go back and play Call of Duty or whatever, or he rectified that relationship,
Here's the thing: why do you give a fuck? Why do you care if somebody wants to play a game or doesn't want to play a game for whatever reason? Why do you give a fuck? That seems like such a weird thing to be hung up on. Like, yeah, Call of Duty removed his skin from the game because of the stuff he said, but it's his decision ultimately on how he wants to handle that. It doesn't really matter. Why is it some weird flip-flop thing? Like, I don't understand that correlation either. Maybe I'm missing something.
No, I don't get it either, man. It's just like, it really does seem like it's just like they're this is how the social function of herding people into camps, and like, and I don't know if he's aware that he's doing it or they're aware that they're doing it, but that's, I definitely think you see this on both sides, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it's, of course I'm more biased to progressive causes and stuff like that, because once again, I generally believe that, if something is harmful, then you should try to encourage someone to, of course, but they believe that what they're talking about is harmful. If they actually believe that trans people are somehow just like preying on kids, which is not happening,
well, you can't argue that trans people don't exist, but then they're also a threat to children. Like, you can't. True. Those are two completely different things.
True.
So, I mean, like, if you're going to say that trans people aren't real, but they're also a threat to society, then are they real? Or are you just unreasonably upset about trans people? Like, I don't understand. But a good example is, I've been on streams with Dave, BTM Reviews. I don't know if he's still in the chat or not. I've been on his stream. I've had Low Watermark on my stream. I've been in Frog Tony's show. I've been in Katie Did's show. I've gone on shows with like tons of people who think differently. And I don't always agree with everybody that I stream with. A lot of times I butt heads, but I try to be respectful as possible. And I have found in my travels, when I encounter other people who are more left-leaning, when I've encountered people that are more right-leaning, that this straight down the line argument that these guys make about people and the way they try to push people and bully people into groups, these kinds of dumb arguments, is exactly why we're in the position we're in right now. Because they want everybody to pick a side, and then you have to do everything that side tells you have to do.
Which would be one thing if they didn't just constantly accuse us and everybody else of being in an echo chamber and being afraid of other opinions and stuff like that. But they constantly do that, right? And meanwhile, there's a lot of this going on. Yeah.
It's just weird. It's so weird. All right, let's watch a little bit more of this. But there's a follow-up video from Nick Burks I want to talk about before we wrap up the stream. But let's see what else he says here.
Whatever, right? As far as blocking people on X, I think that is I don't mind that. I really don't care. Like, at a certain point, a block is a block because you're just tired of dealing with people.
Thank you. I mean, I agree with that.
I have a thing, though. Somebody we know, Cream has been on the show a couple of months ago. He randomly got blocked, and he didn't even say anything to Nick Marks ever.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't, like, if I want to go through and block 50 people that I don't know,
yep,
I can do that. I don't have to have a reason. This is such a weird thing. Like, I can block anybody I want to block if I don't like their profile picture, if I don't like the color of their banner. I can do it. The block feature doesn't require you to have a reason.
The weird culture on Twitter, I mean, like for the longest time, my Twitter account, I had it locked, or kind of set so that you could only reply to me if I was following you. And that was just pissed so many chuds off, man, because they would show up to a tweet. And what was hilarious is they would retweet me and then say, "Oh yeah, you got your replies locked, so nobody can reply to you." And it's like, dude, you just replied to me.
Yeah.
You just did it over my tweet instead of under it. And like, what the fuck are you talking about? They oh, this is a coward. And it's like, what? I'm a coward?
I will never call it X.
So, yeah, me either. Fuck that. But yeah, just the weird mentality of like cowardice and shit like that comes along with Twitter is bizarre. I can be like, no man, come on my stream and let's have a conversation, and they're like, no, you're a coward because you.
Oh, speaking of that, I extend that to a lot of people, right? I extend the idea that if you're in my chat and I can verify that you're a human being, like you've got a channel, you got content, and you want to come on and talk, you can. But then if somebody creates an account like this week, comes into my chat and's like, I want to debate you, invite me onto your show. No, I have a certain criteria. You can't be an account that you just made your account. You don't have any subscriptions. You don't have any videos. I can see, by the way, just for the record, I can click on your name while you're in my chat and see your channel activity. Yep. I can go through and read stuff that you've done for the last however long. I can see that
we
shit.
can judge you based on that. We can judge whether we want you around or not based on that.
If you are someone that is going to come on and drop a penis on camera, or you're going to come in and you're going to have somebody twerking with no underwear on to try and get my channel in trouble, I'm not doing that, which is why I only feel comfortable engaging with real people, because I know that you're going to come on and you're going to at least have some decorum. If you're in my comments yelling at me and calling me names and you just created your account, that's a no from me, dog. It's a no. It's not going to happen. You know, come on your real account, because I know it's a fucking sock account. So log into your real account and tell me you want to have a conversation. And then we'll talk
Ethan.
Ethan Van Skyver, EVS. 100%.
I know it's you son of a bitch.
Come on here. All right, let's see. We're going to give him another minute and then I'm going to stop it. Because again, 5 minutes in, I don't think they've added much. Let's see.
Nick Merckx blocked him by association of other streamers. So like it's things like that. It's like that's kind of weird. You're blocking for someone who hasn't done anything. Like I don't know. I just kind of find that a bit soy.
Well, okay, but at the same time, like I've been blocked by Jason Schreier. I've never had that's that guy who writes for Forbes. I've never had a single.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I just think that's so silly.
Yeah, he was with it.
Okay, are we still talking about Nick Merckx? Because now we're talking about like being blocked personally by random people, and she finds that to be soy. So she is not team Nick Merckx apparently. Apparently she's not on his team, which is fine. All right, let's watch the follow-up video from him, because I put this in the video when I made it originally, but I do want to talk about it here with you, and then we can kind of do some last-minute chatting and stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get going here in just a few minutes, probably, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So here we go. We'll watch this quickly. It's a very short clip, but I just want to get your take on it, and then if you got to dip out, you got to dip out. Here we go.
Okay.
Scene on your side last night. That's the thing, though. I don't care about people agreeing with me. You know.
I believe that.
I don't really mind.
I do believe that.
It's fine. You know, there's going to be people that disagree and people that agree. I don't care about the percentages of the cuts or whatever. It doesn't bother me.
I will say this. That's how I view my YouTube stuff too. If people come in the comments and there's like 500 people that don't like what I have to say, that's just the way it is. I'm not going to get upset about it. I don't agree with him, but I agree with that.
If we cared about that to any kind of degree, really, we wouldn't be making this content.
Yeah.
Because it is not the most popular content to be making on YouTube.
Yeah. the as pronouns emote worth the membership for that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know, I feel a certain way about all that. And I've said my piece, and I will remind these fucking people.
These fucking people. Okay.
That, again, the little dream fantasy bullshit that they're living in is not real life, and not everybody has to dance to their tune. That's not how.
That's what I don't understand is why do they think that people want them to be trans and be gay as well? I don't care if Nick is trans or gay. I don't care.
Weird. It's fucking. If you're, imagine if they said that about like black people.
Right.
It's weird that they go that way with that. But like,
I mean, I feel like it's not long before we get there at this point. I mean, I feel like it's getting that way. We'll see.
How that works. You don't get to go around and point your finger in people's chests and say, "Hey, you live in my world. You think the way that I think. You believe."
But the thing about it is, though, I've tried to ask people who is doing that.
His volume's a little bit low. I don't know if you can turn it up.
Yeah, I don't know if I can.
Okay.
Let me see if I can increase.
I don't know if it was on your end or what.
No, it's his volume, I think. But let me see if I can. Is there a volume over here? Yeah, it's all the way up, unfortunately.
Yeah, first the forced feminization, and then the next thing you know, it's going to be forced blackization.
Let me stop the music. That might help a little bit. All right, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I don't ask people to come and engage with the gay community. Like, if I interact with people online, which is mainly how he interacts with people, is online, I don't say, hey, you have to come to the gay bar with me, or you have to go to a drag show with me. I don't say that, which is why it's so weird that that's the stance they take.
Believe the way that I believe. No. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. It never has been, and it never will be. So if you guys want to live like that, go ahead. Do what you want to do. Not me.
Good. Nobody's asking you to do it. Like, isn't that weird? No one's asking him to do it.
I hate whenever I catch myself looking at chat on one of these videos, man. I'm just like, oh no, he's so dumb. It's called freedom.
Yeah. All right, let's see. This.
And I don't need people to agree with me. I don't need no echo chamber bullshit. This is the way that my wife and I feel.
You don't need an echo chamber, but you're arguing for an echo chamber.
Literally, everybody's just like, facts.
I mean, isn't that what he's arguing? He's like, I don't want you to bring your fantasy into my world, but I don't need an echo chamber.
Yep.
So if you don't need an echo chamber, you would be okay with those things existing in your world. That's the exact opposite of what you just said.
100%. That's the thing. If you are secure with your perspective, your identity, you're secure with who you are, and you can be around pretty much anything, man, as long as it's not trying to hurt you and shit. Like, I mean, I had a girlfriend years ago who loved to go to the gay club and dance on, pretty often. And I went with her a couple times, and I would just kind of stand around, drink or whatever, and watch her dance with her friends and stuff, because I don't dance. And I got hit on quite a bit, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, it was always just kind of like funny to me. It's not like I was like, oh God, these guys are trying to hit on me, and you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just like, that's kind of funny, man. Like, I mean, that was my girlfriend dancing over there, and then we talk for a minute or whatever, and then they move along or whatever. It's like, but I feel like these guys would just fucking flip out about that kind of thing or something.
No, absolutely. Let me see it. Just give him a little bit more, because I think he doesn't say much.
Is the way that my family feels, the people that are closest to me, and we're gonna speak our fucking piece, and that's it.
So he wants to be able to say what he wants to say to trans people and gay people, but he doesn't want to hear what trans people and gay people have to say.
Right. Yep.
So he wants an echo chamber. I think that's pretty much it. We don't need to listen to more of that.
That's it.
I mean, once you said that, once you've said that, you blew your load. Like, that's it. We get it. So, right, Chandler, do whatever you want, but your freedom is imposing on my freedom. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's see. If you got to jump out of here, you can. I think I'm going to stay live a little bit longer.
Okay.
So,
well, I mean, I do appreciate you having me on.
What is this you have here?
Oh, I didn't know if we didn't really even watch any Razor Fist. I thought he was going to say something, so I pulled up just a clip of the Razor Fist puppet.
Way of using an existing model to harvest money from the same audience, then everyone can win, right?
Yeah, we will win. We will win. Buy some, y'all.
You've got to be fucking.
Oh my God, this is unreal.
Listen, you stupid fucking low IQ bastard. Gary, me, and Wank 3PO have all seen that it's possible to milk the same shared audience of dumb fucking subscribers of cash by evangelizing about a bullshit non-existent culture war, and how if you buy this bullshit merch, you're somehow a hero winning a war. So together with our zero literary talent and our
fucked up microphone is so
together
real.
Dog piss fucking awful books simply so we can desperately try and ride your same snake oil train like suckling fucking remora fish and see how much money we can make for ourselves too. So what you need to do, you completely insane retard, is to print and distribute our garbage books to the same gullible assholes on our behalf, make us a ton of cash from the same stable of pay pigs, loudly pretend that the sales are down to your amazing business genius, and take the credit. So between us all, what we've done is scam the same crowd of idiots out of their pocket money under a nasty little parasocial heist just in time before your stupid Egoverse company finally dies from all the money it's been bleeding, your obvious lack of competent business management, and its hilariously bad attempts at making comics that don't look like they've been written by a fucking 8-year-old child with learning difficulties and cataracts. Wow. Simply slap together another page on your shitty website, give it a stupid snappy name. Hey, name it after yourself like every fucking thing else you do. Make a cringe as fuck announcement video with stock footage of warehouses, and boom, we'll all make more money than a fucking OnlyFans girl with 5 tits.
Oh my God.
You know what's funny is that like he nailed the tone of the rants that Razor Fist does. He just
yeah.
It's actually a good rant though is the difference. Actually said some things of substance.
Blackwing, that's it. But that's his aesthetic. Razor Fist was like a guy who didn't grow out of Hot Topic. I mean, that's pretty much his aesthetic.
If you've ever seen any of his pictures floating around, like actual photos, pictures like branding photos he has out there, he's like on a motorcycle, he's doing a middle finger, and it's just like, dude,
no,
it's yikes.
So, well, thanks for stopping in. I know you got to head out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for everybody for hanging out and watching and listening and stuff. And yeah,
check out Dane, Actual Fandom.
Yeah, that's me, Actual Fandom. I'll be streaming tomorrow night. I think I'm going to be. I'm not sure quite sure what I'm going to be doing, but I'll probably be looking at some chuds. I do a Friday stream. I do 2 streams on Fridays now. I do one earlier in the day that's just kind of looking at the week of fandom stuff, and then I kind of like will go over the different initiative videos from the week and be like, here, check out what Organized Chaos did and Turf Nation and Eric DeBunks, and then other videos that I happened upon that I recommend, and as well as like whatever shows and stuff that I've been watching, talk about that, comics, and then in the nighttime is the time for chuds. Later in the day, we'll be doing some flat scan review, some chud talk. So yeah, you guys have a lovely night and a happy Pride.
All right, see you later, Dane. All right, everyone. I am going to post up right now. Let me take this banner off. Actually, I'm gonna start my music back up. Let's start up some music. I'm going to take this banner down because I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to all of the folks out there who are supporting the channel through memberships. So this is for you. And if you'd like to get your name on this as well, you can join now and become part of the revolution. Here we go. There we go. That's for all of the supporters of the channel. Thank you so much for that. I'm not going anywhere yet, though, so if you want to hang out a little bit longer, you can. I'm actually going through Reddit. There's a few things on Reddit that I had pulled up before Dane left that I was going to talk about, but I did not have a chance to. So, are you guys familiar? Hold on, let me put my branding back up. My banner, hold on. All right. Are you guys familiar with Mr. Bertram? There's some new news about Mr. Bertram that I think is quite interesting. So over on Reddit, they have a post from someone associated with the show. And all right, see you later. See you later, Chandler. It says, hey, I'm one of the animators and fixers of the show. I thought I could maybe share a little bit of how we made some things about the animation since you commented on it. By the way, I heard some of the advertising saying the show was proudly made in America, but we, the animation crew, are located in Valencia, Spain. We put in some references here, there, like the poster on Principal Bordel's office that says visit Valencia. So they lied about Mr. Bertram being American made. Literally, the animation was done in another country. The show was made using 2D cutout rigs mainly. For those who wonder what that means, is that instead of having to draw every single frame, we move a 2D model similar to how 3D animation is made. Shows like Rick and Morty also use this, but have a lot more time and manpower to publish and refine and to make more complicated poses. In fairness, they kind of wanted the characters to look a little bit stiff and not cartoony, and that's the show's style. But we didn't have time to make rigs for everything, especially the characters that appear for a gag, so those were hand-drawn animated, which is why those kind of look like Family Guy a little bit. We had to do it so the animation is on 3s or even 4s. I personally didn't like the show, and it seems to be the main opinion of the crew I talked to. Hard to be passionate about a show that opposes LGBT plus rights when most of the crew is LGBT. I would say, hope you like it, but let's be honest. So I'll say thanks for you to endure it. So literally, they lied about where the show was made. The crew that animated the show there's a lot of LGBT people involved with it, and they didn't like making the show. That's funny to me. That is absolutely hilarious. Rick and Morty is actually funny, unlike Mr. Bertram. True. It's pretty funny. I thought it was pretty hilarious. Let's see. Let's see if we got some more YouTube stuff to look at. I had some stuff on Twitter as well. Let's see. Watch later. Watch later. Let's see. Was there anything I want to show on here? I'm not sure. Let's see if Katie did has any good clips. She usually has a lot of good clips. Let's see what she's got over there. It's a lot of. I know she primarily does Eric July, but I don't know. Are y'all like me? Are you just over the Eric July stuff? I don't know, man. I don't know if I could take more Eric July, to be completely honest. Not tonight. Not tonight. Let's see. So this is interesting. I want to share this with you. So, you know, people complain about how much gay stuff they see in shows. So we're seeing a drop in diversity across the board, but this is the first one for this year that I saw for 2024. It says diversity in TV down 12% with Hispanic representation, particularly low Samba TV reports. And I'm going to guess that we're going to see even more of these numbers where diversity is not, we're not seeing a lot of it in TV shows. And I know people want you to believe that it's everywhere and that it's, you know, everywhere we turn, we see gay characters, we see women, we see people of color, but it just seems like that's not true anymore. And so as these reports come out, they're going to be very quiet about it. I don't think we're going to see any of the normal Chud channels talk about this or cover this. They're probably not even going to talk about it at all. They're just going to completely ignore it. Or they will try and disprove it somehow. And I think that's quite interesting, in my opinion, that the numbers are looking down for representation, which is one of the biggest criticisms when it comes to this stuff, is that there's too much representation. But I would say that's not true. I thought it was just a really interesting thing to check out. Let's see. What else do we have here? Well, anybody got anything they want to talk about? I'll stay live a little bit longer if you guys have any topics you want to talk about. Trying to see. I have so many bookmarks. So many bookmarks. Black Wings said, I've been watching anime as of late and very little TV shows. I get it. I understand that. I personally think, let me click on this here. I personally think that animation in general is having sort of a resurgence, to be quite honest. Mara says, imagine the agony Adam Carolla's Mr. Meeseeks is in after being designated the test of making Punchdown conservative animation comedy. Actually funny. Jerry will win the Masters before that happens. True. Michael says, tonight has motivated me to make my second anti-Chud comic book. What's your anti-Chud comic book? What is it called, Michael? And can people still get it? Is it like a Indiegogo? Do you have it up online somewhere? Very curious. Let us know. We'll send some people your way. Geez. We covered a lot of this stuff already. I think I'm going to save some of it for videos tomorrow. I don't know. It's not been a great week for like big news stories. Thorns of the White Rose is the name of the book. Oh, it's not available anywhere except locally to me. I was going to order it. I was going to order it. Let's see here. Let's see. There was actually I can't find it now. I should have been more prepared. Oh. Okay, hold on. This is interesting. This is a Tim Pool clip. Let me see here. This might be fun. Let's watch this. It's a Tim Pool clip, and it's only 1 minute and 30 seconds. And the clip he's reacting to is Ho Math, What Do Women Want? Let's see what he says here. Because I'm really curious if Tim Pool knows what women want.
Women really want and why they do the things they do. The first thing we'll do is, of course, we'll address the pure viral video with 6.5 million views. Provide some social commentary as to why this woman is upset a man is looking at her. I love this because it's like, let me just get it out of the way. Young women wearing booty pants being like, I don't understand why men are looking at me. It's because get it out of the way.
Let's listen to that again. Young women
wearing booty pants being like, I don't understand why men are looking at me. It's because they want to have sex with you.
That's interesting. All right. Here we go.
Now, that doesn't mean that they quite literally on the spot want to. It means they are checking out your body because in nature, women produce babies and men would like to find women who have good genetics to produce babies with.
I don't think that's the reason. I could be wrong here. I could be wrong. Any of the straight men in the chat can point this out for me, but I don't think the immediate thought when you're checking out a woman is making a baby with them. I could be absolutely wrong about that. I could be. I don't know. Maybe it's a weird take, but I don't I don't know about that one. Anyway.
For men, it's actually quite easy. You look at a woman. Does she look like she can have babies? Okay. This is why there's like rouge, pinching the cheeks.
It's that easy. It's that easy. All right.
Lipstick. These are signs of fertility. For men, it's a little bit more complicated and difficult. And this goes into the what women really want question that Ho Math brings up.
Okay, so this is the fact it's called Ho Math is just fucking crazy. But this whole thing about like looking at women and this determining if they're gonna have good children, is this real? Is this real? All right. I don't think like Tim doesn't strike me as like a catch for women that are trying to have children. Maybe it's something you're doing, Tim.
But this is a lot of, you can't just look at a guy and know. It's not so easy. Now, of course, a tall guy, that's a good sign of protection and good genetics, because then you're going to have kids who are strong and be protected. Muscles, ripped, deep voice, none of which are guarantees. That's why when you show a woman a picture of a chiseled tall man, they say he's attractive. But if you include a bio where it says he's like, I don't know, assistant manager at a supermarket, then they lower it.
So it's really weird. The person in the video, we know very little about this video. Apparently, he's just telling us what the video is about. So we don't know shit about the video really, other than hoe math and what women want. And some woman was mad that a guy was looking at her at the store, according to him. But he's sitting here talking about the qualifications of men, like going through all of the different types of things that men could offer. And when he talks about women, it's literally, will they make good children? Okay.
Their value of the guy from like 9 to 6 or 7.
So that was the whole thing, is that his evaluation is that men have lots of different things that they could offer when it comes to women, and women make babies. There you have it. There you have it. Oh, jeez. We got a super chat from Michael here. $5 super chat says, it would be an honor for me that you read it. What is your P.O. box? Michael, am I following you on any social media at all? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Instagram? Are you anywhere else at all that I can reach out to you so I can get that information for you? I would much appreciate that. Danimal, you can certainly do that. 100%. 100%. We're just chilling out for the next little bit till I get tired. I'm trying to stay awake because I want to watch a TV show that comes on at like 4 a.m. So I don't have anywhere to be right now. Thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. You're on Instagram and Facebook. Look me up on Instagram. My @ is this. I'm going to type it into the chat. Look me up there, and we can hook up. I don't say hook up. That sounds like a date. It's not a date. We can link up on Instagram, and I would love to check out your comic book. Would appreciate it. All right, let's see. What do we got? What else is cooking in the oven here? Under bookmarks here. Actually, let's go to let's go over to the old YouTubes and see what's happening. My goodness, how many times is Geeks and Gamers going to use the same picture in their thumbnails? Hold on for a second. Hold on. We have to look at this. This is a problem. This is an absolute problem. How many times are they going to use the same picture? Okay, starting with Everybody Hates the Acolyte. You see Jeremy with his hands over his face. Then fans reject Jeremy, hands over his face. The Acolyte disaster, Jeremy, hands over his face. And literally those three are the same exact thumbnails. Then up in the corner, the Acolyte, DEI, hands over face. Call of Duty, Black Ops is not even an Acolyte video. Hands over the face. And then 2 hours ago, the Acolyte officially hated by fans with his hands over his face. I can't even. I got to turn my fan on. Hold on a second. Electrocution or shark? Neither. I take neither. Neither one. Is that an answer? Holy crap. Let's do this. You know what? I haven't watched a Geeks and Gamers video in a minute, so let me do this. We're gonna turn this off. We don't need this on anymore. Let's do this. Share screen. Let's suffer together. All right. It's a short video, and I pitched it up. The Acolyte officially hated by fans. Okay, so I want to point out before we even jump into this video, okay, the audience score can be easily manipulated on Rotten Tomatoes. Number one. Number two, we already know that Rotten Tomatoes has an issue with the way their scores function because there's been questions about the validity of the scoring on both the critics and the fan side. I don't use Rotten Tomatoes for anything because I don't trust the website. Maybe I'm being paranoid. I don't trust it, so I don't talk about it very much. But they constantly use Rotten Tomatoes whenever it suits their narrative. And I want to remind everyone that Jeremy has said in the past that they make videos to create a narrative. He has admitted to this. So already out of the gate, using Rotten Tomatoes and admitted to creating a narrative. So let's see where he goes.
Another big fat L for Disney Star Wars. The Acolyte now registering at a disastrous 18% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's only going to get worse from...
By the way, I find it, even if let's just say it wasn't manipulated, which we know it was. Let's just say it wasn't manipulated. In what world does the show The Acolyte deserve 18%? Look at the disparity between the critic score and the fan score. That's almost unheard of. It is almost unheard of. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, maybe the third episode is divisive, but there's no reason the first two episodes would have been 18%. Even if you're looking at it completely outside of like any bias. It just doesn't make any sense.
From here, it's not going to get any better. The mainstream is saying controversy, fan divide, all of that. There is no controversy. There is no fan divide. 18% audience score. That is not a divide. That is an overwhelming majority of people hate this series.
And Jeremy, are you going to touch on the fact that the vast majority of reviews that were voting it low came in before the show even aired? Before the first episode even dropped, it was already getting downvoted. If you have to manipulate the score of something to prove that it's objectively bad, you have already admitted defeat. You've already admitted defeat at that point.
Hate what Leslie Headland, Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, has done by basically projecting her own sexuality into Star Wars.
Where was that projected? Where we have already talked about this. Where was that projected? You mean the fact that there was an actual like lesbian couple that was barely a lesbian couple in the show? Yeah.
With the space lesbians, the space witch lesbians. By the way, they're so upset. Lucasfilm, I mean, I don't have any direct proof of this, so let me just say I am going to speculate that Lucasfilm has gotten my account locked on social media because of a meme that I shared on the Star Wars Twitter account, and they hid my reply. And now my Twitter account is locked. That is...
Well, hiding replies, just like the block feature, is a function of Twitter. It's a function of Twitter. So if they use that, they are totally allowed to do that because it is a function of Twitter. And you can cope and seethe about it all you want. And I hate to even use those terms, but that's essentially what it is. You're mad that Twitter's function worked the way it was intended. Okay.
Right. My Twitter account is locked, so I can't access my Twitter account right now. I will be able to, but it has been locked over a meme. It's the same meme I've been posting. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a meme. That's it. That's all I did. I posted the meme. I posted the meme a lot. And
well, then it's probably spam. if you admit that you posted the meme a lot, it's probably spam. Which is probably the rule that you broke on Twitter. If anybody just goes around and keeps posting the same thing on Twitter, you can get in trouble for spam. Just, it is what it is.
He hid that reply, and that particular reply, now it could have been mass flagged, which is definitely a likely scenario as well.
So your reply was mass flagged. So you were falsely reported by a bunch of people. But the idea that the Star Wars Acolyte was not mass downvoted, that theory is completely absent for you. So let me get this right. There's a double standard that you can be falsely flagged for doing something on Twitter, and we're supposed to believe that, but there's no way in the world that Rotten Tomatoes was not manipulated by bad actors trying to downvote the show before it ever aired. Okay.
But either way, they are really, really upset about this criticism. They cannot stand that people hate this episode, and it's across the board. It is now registering with normies. Now,
across the board would mean that the critic score and the audience score is the same, but it's not. So it is not across the board. Why do I keep having to pause it? Like, stop lying. Stop it. I mean, seriously. Oh my gosh. It's just...
Oh, Lord. Again. A fucking again. Nothing new, nothing changed, same old shit. Same old fucking shit. And the whole is still in your same costume that's been in for years. You never took the time to sew it up, glue it up, anything.
Now families are seeing this. Families are going, wait a minute. They're putting lesbian space witches in my Star Wars for my kids to watch. They're having...
Is that what they're saying? Are you going to show something on your screen? Show me something that tells me that they're actually saying that. There must be a tweet or a post or a video or the more likely scenario is you're making it up.
Women just become bi or lesbians so they can then have sex to create force babies. What the hell is going on?
Well, they didn't have sex. They clearly didn't have sex to create the babies because they made it very clear that it was forced children. At least, and from my perspective, it was very clear that they were created through other means. So, yeah, that's just dumb, Jeremy.
With Star Wars, everybody is seeing this and everyone is roasting it. And this is exactly...
That's not true. Again, hyperbole.
What we knew was going to happen. This is why the Acolyte faced so much criticism before it even came out, because we heard from all of the cast, all of the crew, including Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, Leslie Headland, that this was the direction that they were going in. And now fans have seen it and they have rejected it across the board.
Again, not across the board. Not across the board. That would be 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Your hyperbole does not work on me, Jeremy Griggs.
Everyone hates this show. I have not seen anyone that has genuinely said, I'm really enjoying this show, except...
I'm really enjoying this show. Congratulations. Your statement is false.
For some shills, some people that have direct access to Disney.
Oh, except for this group of people. So you say, oh, there's a caveat. There's a caveat. That's how it always is. If it's objectively bad, there wouldn't even be shills saying that, Jeremy.
And Lucasfilm and Dave Filoni and all the people involved with the production and everybody at Lucasfilm. But genuine fans, genuine discussion out there, no one likes this. Not one single person
I am a single person and I do like it.
Genuinely likes this piece of garbage, because how could they? As I said, even if you're just a normie watching this and you don't know anything about Star Wars, the episode itself, episode 3, was objectively terrible. The dialogue was terrible.
I don't think it was objectively terrible. I think it was a letdown. I think it was disappointing. Objectively terrible would mean that it's failed on everything across the board. And that's disingenuous, Jeremy. But that's not what your fans want. They want you to do exactly what you're doing right now.
Terrible. The storytelling was terrible. What happened to the witches? How did the witches die? Now, of course, my speculation is that they're going to blame the Jedi for killing the witches, because this is all about making the Jedi bad. Drunk 3PO had an amazing...
Or hear me out. The reason why they didn't show the battle is because not all of them are dead, Jeremy.
Theory on Geeks and Gamers Daily today, and he essentially said that the whole point of what they are doing here and then moving forward, make the Jedi to be horrible. The Jedi horrible, and then it leads all the way up to Rey's solo film, and then Rey rebuilds the Jedi in the right way, getting rid of that old guard, and then letting Rey, the strong woman, come in there and fix.
How would that make any sense? How would that make any sense? This show takes place before the prequels, before the main trilogy and before the sequels. So how would that make any sense whatsoever? We know that's not the way the Jedis are framed in the movies. We know that. So how would that happen? How?
All of those problems, those toxic white males and all those men created with the...
So now the Jedi are all white men? All the Jedi are white men. According to Jeremy Griggs. That's it. All the toxic white men who are Jedis. Totally dismissing the fact that just recently we had a show called Ahsoka who had a woman of color alien Jedi as the lead. But sure, however you need to play the victim in all of this.
Jedi Order, and Rey with the Force's female vision. She's going to rebuild.
Force's female was a advertising campaign not connected to the promotion of the actual film. Try again.
It to the glory that we all once needed. That's what his theory was, and I think he's pretty spot on about it. The whole point is to try to tear down the Jedi.
Well, of course you would, because you already are trying. You're trying to build a narrative. So yeah, you would definitely believe that because it goes with what you're doing on your channel.
I make the Jedi horrible, make the Jedi the worst people on the planet, leading us into Rey Skywalker, and she's going to rebuild the Jedi. The Force is female. That's what the theory is, and I think it's a pretty good theory. Don't forget Forbes.
How would that theory work, again, with all of those films in between this show and the sequels? How would that theory work? Does it add up? Does it make any sense?
Had The Acolyte, Episode 3, one of the most disappointing Star Wars episodes ever made. They have changed that title. The original title was like Episode 3, the worst Star Wars episode ever made, or something like that. So they changed it up a little bit. There were other articles out there where people were trashing on it, but ultimately this is the result of bad storytelling. People that are not qualified to tell the stories, people that don't like George Lucas, don't like his Star Wars.
And you're not qualified to tell any stories, Jeremy. Last time I checked, you're not a screenwriter. You're not a producer. You're not a director. You're not an actor. You're a podcast bro. So you're not qualified to tell these stories. I really hate when they do this. I really hate when they act like they are the arbiters of everything Star Wars, and that when they say someone is qualified, they are. When they say somebody's unqualified, they're not. It's really, really annoying when they do that.
And don't respect his Star Wars. And the whole point is to blow all of that up, disrespect it, ruin it, piss off the fan base, and then create something new because it needs representation, because Star Wars never had representation, apparently.
Well, if it always had it, then why do you care, Jeremy? If Star Wars always had representation and diversity, then why do you care that they're doing it now? If it always existed in Star Wars, answer this question, Jeremy. If it always existed in Star Wars, why are you mad that they're doing it now? Why are you upset, Jeremy Griggs? If there was never an imbalance of representation in the series, then you should have no problem with them showcasing characters that are not straight white men, regardless of what they say outside of the actual products. You would have no issue with that.
Guys, have a great day. Thank you very much for checking out this video. And
that switch up was real. The switch up was real for Jeremy. That was funny. That was funny. He is such a disingenuous internet grifter. I mean, one of the worst, honestly, because he's admitted that he's only doing it to build a narrative. He's admitted that. That's come out of his mouth. He said it. Let's see. Has anybody else made dumb videos today? Let's see. We got Melonie Mac. Oh God. Should we look, chat? I'm going to leave it up to y'all. We got 30 some people watching now. Do we want to sit through a Melonie Mac video? I'm just curious because I don't know if I can do it unless you guys want to be entertained by Melonie Mac. She did a video about Star Wars Acolyte. I don't know. I'm not sure. Chat, you pick. You tell me if you want to do it or not. It's entirely up to you. We're definitely not watching Ryan Cannell. That's not happening. That's definitely not happening. Let's see here. Hey, what's up, baby girl? There's a few other videos here. All right, let's do Melonie Mac here. Let me pull up her video. It's titled Lesbian Witch Cringe is the title. That's the title. All right, let's Lesbian Witch Cringe. All right. Let's see. I need to go refill my drink. Let me see what I got here. I need to refill my drink. I'm going to turn the music up a little bit while I step away, but I will be right back. I'll be right back. Let me actually do this. All right. Let me refill this, and I'll be back. We'll watch Melonie Mac. Don't go anywhere. All right, I've returned. I have returned. Ugh. All right. Turn my music down. All right. I'm back. I just brought my 2-liter with me. This is a 14 minutes? 14 minutes? Oh, no. I don't know if I can do 14 minutes, everybody. I don't know if that's possible. I'm not sure if that's a possibility. That might be no. That might be a big no for me. All right. Let's see what she has to say. Here we go.
Star Wars, the Acolyte couldn't get any more cringe. They introduce lesbian witches who can procreate using the Force.
See, this is the part I don't get about Star Wars fans that are in this space. First of all, why are lesbian characters cringe? What is the idea behind that doesn't come off like some anti-lesbian shit. What is the concept of that doesn't come off as anti-lesbian? I'm just trying to figure that out because it doesn't make any sense otherwise. Secondly, the idea that a baby could be conceived outside of normal means seems to be pretty much par of the course for Star Wars. That seems to be an everyday thing in the Star Wars universe. So I don't understand why that's a problem either, except for the fact that it is a coven of women together that seem to be the issue.
Or something like that. This is what happens when you hire furries and people who make up their own genders to write this stuff. All right, let's go ahead and dive into this video. Now, for the first clip I have here, hopefully this doesn't get me copyright striked or anything, but Nerdrotic posted this, got a lot of feedback, even from Elon.
Okay, so if this is the clip that I think it is, which is the singing part, I didn't like the song either. It was probably the one thing in the episode that I would just subtract. Everything else I'm good with. The song I would subtract. If the song starts playing, we're going to skip it because I don't want to take a chance on getting hit with a copyright issue from Disney.
Elon Musk himself, I haven't seen the clip. So we're about to experience this together. Let's see what it's about.
Wait. Hold on. Are you telling me? She's like, I haven't seen the clip. Are you telling me that you didn't watch the episode? Please tell me you didn't do a 14, almost 15-minute video without watching the episode. All right. Let's see. Let's see everybody.
Out.
So it was the singing clip. I'll be honest. I'll be very honest. I did not vibe with the singing part. I didn't. But that's not what ruined the episode for me, right? Like, my issues with the episode, this was an element of my problems with the episode. But it has nothing to do with, like, them being lesbians or anything. That's ridiculous. And anybody that says that, we know, okay?
Did we just watch a meme? Did we all just watch a meme together? So we've got replies here. The critical drinker said, I got secondhand cringe for all the poor extras in this scene. I don't even know what's happening here. It says Camelot. Elon Musk laughed. Savvy says they couldn't even come up with a cool chant. These writers are...
I'm very curious if she watched the episode. Because right now it doesn't seem like she did. I'm going to flip my fucking lid if she did a 15-minute review of the third episode and did not watch it. I'm officially going to flip my lid. I'm telling you right now.
Power of 1, power of 2, power of crunch. 3. Oh my goodness. This is... If you showed this to anybody and told them, hey guys, this is Star Wars like 10 years ago, would you believe it? Okay.
Can we get to the part where you talk about the actual episode?
Rothman shared this. The Acolyte episode 3 introduces lesbian space witches that use the Force to get pregnant.
So we're looking at memes.
Who need a man, right? When you can use the Force and have some sort of mutant spawn.
Can we get
Star
to the
Wars
review?
Fans. This is, I feel like, isn't there some sort of scientific, and I always talk about how a lot of this stuff is rooted in
science. Doesn't matter. We're talking about a fictional show about space travel and alien beings. Stop trying to make it about science. Come on, get to the review.
demonic undertones and how I think
demonic
that,
stuff.
I mean,
Got
I
it.
truly believe that Satan.
It's so demonic that you just laughed at it, right? This is why people can't take you seriously, because you're fake as fuck. You're fake as fuck, and you're talking about something in religious context, but laughing at it also. So it's such a massive threat to all of us because it's demonic, but that also makes it extremely funny, I guess, to her. So there's that. All right. My cat's trying to get out of the window. Hold on for a second. Sorry about that. I don't normally stream with my cat being awake, but she's decided she wants to come in and hang out. So here we are. All right. Back to the video.
While he's running the earth right now before Jesus returns, he's got his grubby hands in everything. And especially
3 minutes into a non-review, apparently, of Star Wars The Acolyte 3, and you're already pushing your religious beliefs into someone's entertainment. This is what I talk about when they're always complaining about how much gay stuff is in this and that and the other, but she cannot view anything outside of the spectrum of religion. She cannot. It's impossible. She's pretty much made it her entire existence online is this fake Christian shit.
why wouldn't he in the entertainment field? I mean, we already know how corrupt Hollywood and the music industry is, and the gaming industry as well is being overtaken by it. So that's why we see a lot of this.
And you're still participating in all of it. You're still participating in all of it. You should be boycotting all of it. You should be literally boycotting it if you believe it's demonic. But you don't actually believe that, which is the problem I've had with you and people in your space for a very long time, pulling this moral high ground.
These ideologies, transgender ideologies, a lot of this feminism to the point to where, and you know, I love me.
Is there a review? Is there a review, Melonie? Are you going to talk about the fucking show, or are you going to sit here and look at memes and other people's opinions? Is there a fucking review?
Need some girl power. I'm a big Lara Croft fan. I love Claymore, all that stuff. But there's a difference between, hey, let's portray women in a really cool fashion versus let's make women that don't need no men. Men are useless. Women, let's have women that rule the world.
So are you talking about the episode? Because that's not what the fuck happened. That's not what happened in the episode. There was no man-hating shit going on. This is following the lore of Star Wars when it comes to the witches in the Star Wars universe. That's what it is. These women weren't sitting around hating on men. That wasn't in the episode.
It's just gotten insane. And that goes against God's design because God didn't create it that way. And
who gives a fuck about what God's design was when we're talking about Star Wars? Are you fucking serious right now?
While I even myself am a very hyper independent woman, I still understand and subscribe to God's order in that men are supposed to lead.
So why is it that you are single, not married, and don't have a family? And you're almost 40 years old. The clock is ticking, Melonie. The clock is fucking ticking. Put up or shut up at this point. Stop throwing stones at glass houses.
Women are the weaker sex, that we are the weaker vessel. We need men to lead. We need powerful, strong men. This is why this whole soy boy pandemic is such an issue for so.
You're saying this while you criticize media and TV shows made by men. Are you kidding me right now? Are you fucking kidding me at this moment? You're literally saying this when you criticize media made by men, Melonie. How can you say that men are going to lead things when you criticize men leading things? Just a complete fucking unserious joke. 5 minutes into this video and you've yet to talk about the fucking episode. This is why I call you people grifters. This is why we get so upset about this bullshit.
So many reasons, and women are trying to take over. Women will continually try to take over. That's sometimes part of female nature. But this is why we need strong men who can handle stuff.
Okay, so you're basically, aspiring to the idea that men should keep women in place. So if a man who made a TV show, or if I told you that you should stay in your place, Melonie, you should stay in your fucking place. If I tell you that as a man, then you should be receptive to that, according to your logic. According to your own fucking logic. But it's performative. It's completely made up on your part.
Not subjugate women, not make every woman have to be a housewife if she doesn't want to be or anything like that.
So make up your fucking mind. Do you agree with the trad wife shit or do you not? The fact that you don't totally agree with it means that you've already decided that you're not completely devoted to the shit that you're saying. Fuck.
But men are supposed to be leaders. This is one reason why you won't find me voting for a female president. Okay? One reason why, even though I love talking about the Bible and I love sharing the word of God and stuff like that, one reason why I don't pursue getting my pastoral license and all that kind of stuff, because I believe men should be leading. Women can help, and we are all called to share the gospel, share the word of God, which...
What the fuck am I watching? This is titled Star Wars The Acolyte Episode 3 Cringe Fest. What the fuck am I watching? Why are you talking about women's place in the Bible? Are we going to talk about the episode of the show? Are we going to get to that at some point? Or is it just going to be you continuously saying dumb shit? Why do people subscribe for this kind of stuff? I have no clue. I have no clue. Where's your thoughts on the actual episode of The Acolyte?
I do, but I do not have any desire to lead men, as that would be against God's design. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this article 2 from Bounding into Comics, where they kind of describe everything further.
So you didn't watch the episode? Melonie, you didn't watch the fucking episode. That's what we're getting at here. We're getting at the fact that you're doing this video and you didn't watch it. So you're going to have to read an article to tell you what happened because you didn't watch the episode. It's going to become very obvious here in a second as you're reading through this propaganda website, as confirmed by EVS, that I was right, that Bounding into Comics is a shit website that doesn't actually post legitimate news. Confirmed. You're going to read through this and you didn't watch the episode.
Because I need in the loop here. Okay, so yeah.
Hold on. You need in the loop. So you're fucking admitting you did not watch it. Holy shit.
Well, 2 from Bounding into Comics, where they kind of describe everything further, because I need in the loop here. Okay, so yeah, retcon to Star Wars lore. Reveals, and what I missed my point, what I was going to say on this. So anyway, yeah, how I feel Satan is behind this, with the whole order of things. Also, I mean, I've been seeing floating around different news articles or different posts on Twitter and stuff about how scientists are trying to find a way to...
We almost got there. We were just about ready to talk about the episode. We're back here again. We're at the halfway point of this fucking video, and you still haven't really talked about the episode that you apparently didn't watch. You're still talking about Satan and lesbians and stuff. So let's
or different posts on Twitter and stuff about how scientists are trying to find a way to have where women can reproduce without men. I don't know exactly how they make that work, but...
Which is why you probably shouldn't be speaking on it. Probably shouldn't be speaking on it if you don't understand it. But I'm pretty sure you're going to judge it and spout off some dumb shit. Because that's what you do on YouTube.
Some sort of mutating an egg or something like that. No. But I will say, we do not want to see something like that actually be born, because you are just asking.
So you're advocating for the women's right to terminating something inside of them. You're advocating for that. Cool. Cool, Melonie. I didn't realize you were that progressive. I had you pinned all wrong.
For a demon spawn. You are just asking for some sort of mutant that isn't human. And I think what a lot of people, especially more among the godless realm, what they fail to understand is that a human is not a human without a soul. And so if you are scientifically creating these beings, you're creating nothing but a shell of...
It says that she doesn't know anything about it, goes on for a minute trying to explain how it happens. So either you don't know, Melonie, either you don't know how it works, or you do. Which one is it? Which one is it, Melonie?
Flesh that is not going to actually be human. It will be devoid of a soul, and it won't be human. And also what that is it's an open vessel for a demon to possess.
Oh, okay.
So that just sounds like an absolute nightmare.
Cool. Religious propaganda, just more of it. Got it. Let's go.
Hopefully Jesus returns before something like that becomes a normal thing. Because yikes. All right, so and there you have it, Star Wars fans. In sadly but unsurprisingly delivering on previous whispers, the third episode of The Acolyte has made an absolutely massive, ostensibly identity politics motivated change to one of the franchise's most pivotal pieces.
Is she really just going to read the whole article? Are you fucking serious right now? Are you fucking... She's going to read the whole article from Bounding into Comics, not watching a lick of this TV show. And they wonder why I call the people out to do this. Like, please stop asking me why I call them out. At the very least, if you're going to be critical of something, watch the fucking movie, watch the TV show, and then give your thoughts on it. She is literally reading somebody else's opinion on something. How does she wrap this up? I'm very curious how she wraps this up. We're not going to watch her read an article from Bounding into Comics.
To be very dykish, if you will. So anyway, yeah, this is all clown world right now. But anyway, there you have it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you all.
Why would it even matter what people think, Melonie? You didn't watch the show. Therefore, if I come into the comments and I talk about the quality of the show to engage with you, you can't legitimately engage with me because you didn't watch the show. Does that make any sense to anybody else? Does that make sense to anybody else? How is she going to read and understand the comments of a show that she's not even watching? How is that possible? Holy shit. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I tell you guys, I don't understand. Melonie is one of the worst. And that's why when Epic Mike called her out earlier on Twitter, and I saw that, I'm like, yeah, I see it. I totally see it. Let's see. What else we got here? See if we got another video to watch. I don't know. Yellow Flash. They want you dead. So fucking awful. Awful. Sweet Baby Inc. employee tries to get YouTuber fired from job. I don't know why they say they want you dead. Like, I mean, other than that one fucking dumbass thing with Grums, I don't think I've ever seen anybody legitimately say that about anyone. This Doctor Who stuff is funny too. Very, very funny. Oh my God, there's 2 different clips from Eric about the episode. There's 2 of them. Hold on, did he upload the same video twice? Hold on. No, there's 2 clips. Is one from wait, hold on. Is one from Az and one on his channel? Why would he upload the same clip twice? No, they're both on his channel. He has 2 clips up of what looks to be the same video. Was that a mistake? So I'm looking here and there's these 2 videos here. Let me share this over here up with you guys. So the 2 top videos there, it says Space Lesbians. It's the one we looked at earlier with Dane. And the next to that is Space Lesbian Fan Fiction. And when I clicked on the video, they both started out exactly the same. So I don't know why they're, I'm not sure why that is. All right, hold on. So here's an Eric July video. It's only 5 minutes long. It's called Hollywood Has a Hollywood Problem. I actually started watching this one the other day, and while I was listening to it, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I have a lot to say about this. And I was going to make a video about it, but then I just decided not to. But we'll watch it here because I want to give my thoughts on this. This is a funny one. Here we go.
I don't know how many videos, I've done to this point about this very topic. And the topic is Hollywood has a Hollywood problem. It's not one that is going to be resolved with one movie. It cannot be resolved with one movie. I don't think it can be resolved at all. I just think this is a new era and people need to get used to it.
So I'm actually, for once, going to agree with Eric on one point. It is a new era for theaters. I will agree with that point. But it's not a Hollywood problem. It is a consumer problem. It is the way people are engaging with media. Because Hollywood is putting out some really good films. Furiosa is one of them, and people are just not going out to the theaters. So I don't think it's necessarily like a Hollywood problem. I think it is a problem with the way consumers are engaging with movies.
So Mad Max, everybody's talking about right now, has been removed already from 880 theaters. Film only earned $4.2 million domestically this past weekend. And it left the top 5. This video is set to lose potentially $100 million. So,
and I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame that Furiosa was removed from theaters so soon, because now it doesn't stand a chance. So what the theaters are hoping is that the movie will recoup money on streaming. They're hoping that there's a market at home of people that will buy and watch Furiosa. They've been doing it a lot recently, so this isn't new for them.
I'm not saying whether or not Mad Max is good or not. I don't even think that's necessarily important to the point that I'm going to make here. You have 2 things working against Hollywood. Let's start with the obvious. They kind of screwed themselves over.
How?
With some of their antics.
What are their antics? What is that? Be specific. Use your words, Eric. I want you to explain what those antics are now. I want you to tell me, because just saying it and not explaining it means that you leave it open to interpretation from your viewers. And that is a problem.
And I think people are generally tired of it. And now that people have gone through, especially.
So there you go. He left it open to interpretation, which means that not explaining it is part of the grift. that is part of the grifty stuff that we complain about.
Some of their antics. And I think people are generally tired of it. And now that people have gone through, especially with the whole COVID era where everybody was at home and watching other people, finding other forms of entertainment, and it wasn't necessarily going to the movies. So people got used to that. Okay. A lot of people got used to that, and they found that, oh, it's not so bad. So they're not like falling over.
So you've just admitted in the second part of your statement that the issue with the films now is the viewing habits of people and the way they consume media, which had nothing to do with Hollywood. It had nothing to do with the quality of the movies or the quality of any of those things. It had nothing to do with that. It simply had to do with the fact that we had a major worldwide event that lasted almost 2 years that changed society. The first part of your statement that you left extremely vague is open for interpretation. And that's one of the big problems.
For themselves to try to see the movie, especially upon release. And even with sales of like Blu-ray or whatever, it's just not doing that well, especially if you compare it to itself. If you compare the industry to itself in years past, it's actually doing terribly. Okay.
Right. Because Blu-ray media, DVD media is not widely available and everybody is watching things on streaming. Surprise, surprise.
And it doesn't matter if the movie that comes out ends up being solid. I'm not one screaming here. I don't know much about it as far as what it is and if it's woke and all that. Irrelevant. Not even.
But you just said, oh my God, these fucking grifters. You just said at the beginning of this video with a picture of Furiosa up on your screen that they're tired of Hollywood's antics, which leaves it open for interpretation, which translates into woke. That is what your viewers are going to think. So you have connected the dots for them. Picture of a woman, a movie with a woman as the lead, talking about Hollywood's antics, talking about the failure of the movie financially. Those are the dots and the lines you are drawing for the people that are watching your content. You are absolutely complacent to a lot of this stuff. Just imbecile behavior.
Important. The data's the data. And it shows that movies really across the board are down. The budgets are also, and this was the second point that I wanted to make, the budgets are out of control.
That's actually the third point. That's the third point. You said Hollywood antics, then you said the way people are consuming media. So that would be your third point, not your second one. But that's okay. I understand that math is probably difficult for you based on the way you run your campaigns.
They're far out of control. And they're spending a lot of money and they can't make the money back. They set themselves up for failure. Bad Boys, right? Came out. If there was a movie that I would have been interested in maybe seeing, it would have been that. It is doing, I think, better than what people anticipated. And it's made $100 million, but also spent, I don't know how you spent $100 million on a Bad Boys film, but they did.
How can you diagnose a problem in Hollywood financially if you can't even explain why a movie costs so much to make? So I'm supposed to take you at your word that all of this financial shit that you're talking about, that you're some genius, finance guy, but you can't break down for me in a video where your topic is Hollywood having a problem with budgets. You can't even explain to me why a movie has an inflated budget. You can't give me like a 1 minute out of a 5 minute, 30-second video. You can't give me 1 minute to explain why a specific movie, a high profile movie like Bad Boys, would have an inflated budget.
And even from the previous film, it's still down in terms of the sales, as far as tickets are concerned, box office. So
because that movie, we had COVID. You just addressed the viewing habits and all right.
Even the ones where people are like, oh, it's doing better than I anticipated, it's still a net negative. So that's the problem that the industry has right now, is that, and I don't know how do you recover from that? Don't have an answer. I don't think they can.
So what's the point of this video? What's the point of the video? pointing out that movies aren't making as much as they did before and that they're going to streaming quicker, if you're not going to actually talk about this, your thoughts on the solution for the problem, then why did you make this video? What is the point of this video?
That's the realistic thing. I believe all entertainment, and this is something that if it hasn't got to your entertainment preference,
we're getting to it. Here we go.
Whether you watch movies, video games, whatever, if it hasn't got to your entertainment preference, it'll get there eventually. Okay? And that is, it'll be more decentralized. I think that's inevitable. I think
no, that's never going to happen. There's no way that the way Hollywood functions, the way movies function, the way everything is set up right now, that we will ever see in our lifetimes a decentralized version of what Hollywood is. That will never happen in our lifetimes. It is a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. We'll still have independent films, and maybe we'll have more independent films going out to studios or to theaters and stuff like that. But we will never see a dismantling of what Hollywood is. The industry has far too much money behind it. They can take some L's. They can spend the next 3 or 4 years taking L's. There's that much money in the industry. It does not make any sense that it would become decentralized. It is a pipe dream. It will not happen in our lifetime.
I think a lot of people see that. You're seeing a lot more independent films and things being created in various entertainment industries. That's going to be the way of the future.
By the way, independent films are not making money either. A lot of independent films that are coming out, like these Daily Wire movies and stuff like that, they're not making money either. So that's not a surefire way to success.
Repeating myself, I know I've said this before, but it's important to reiterate that. I think that's the way of the future. So if you are one of those guys that are spending $100 million, $200 million on a film, you're more than likely not going to make that back. I think what people need to realize is that what they consider a success is
there's no guys spending that much money. That's a studio. That's investors. That's boards of directors. That's production companies are spending that money. It's not one person. I don't know any one person that is making movies for $100, $200 million. One individual person. That's not happening.
Is going to have to be far more limited than what it had been in the past. The success has to be contained, man. You can't be, well, it needs to make $1 billion. It needs to make $500 million. No, it does not. Now, when you spend that much money, you kind of set yourself up for failure. But I think what a success.
So in other words, it does have to make $500 million, right? So you're saying, no, it doesn't. Yes, it does. The amount of money that you need to make for something to be a success is equal to how much money you spend on it. So if you spend $400 million to make a movie, yes, it needs to make over $1 billion to be a success. If you spend less, then it needs less to be a success. It's all equal to whatever you invest into it.
Success looks like in the future, it's just going to be, being a very profitable film. And you can make a very profitable film, but yeah, you probably can't spend $100 million or $200 million or $300 million. That's probably gone. Those movies that do that are either barely going to break even or they're going to lose money. And anything that happens outside of that is an exception, because like
all the $1 billion movies were exceptions, Eric. All of the movies that broke over $1 billion were exceptions. That standard of $1 billion equaling success came after Marvel had a string of hits that made a ton of money. They all believed it would make that much money, but it could have easily flopped. It could have easily flopped. The $1 billion mark is not a successful mark for every single movie. Yes, if you have a movie that costs $50 million to make and you make $1 billion, that's a massive success. A massive success. But that's because of the difference in how much money is invested versus how much money you make. It's simple math, and you should know that.
Like I said, on average, everything's down. Everything's down. You can blame whatever you may, economy aside. I just think it's an industry-wide problem, and I don't know if it's something that they can recover from because the experience has changed. How people consume media has fundamentally.
So what I would need you to do now is, since you are making the claim that it's not just the economy, you're saying that it's just the industry, then you would have to tell me that you've looked into the numbers of other entertainment ventures that people would go to, whether it be baseball games, basketball games, nightclubs, concerts, vacations, things like that. You've looked into those avenues and you would say all of their numbers are normal or higher, but movie sales are down. Therefore, it is just movies that are being affected by this. But you did not do that. So this is simply just you putting it out there You have no idea because you've not looked it up yet. You've not double checked any of that.
Changed, and people have different set of expectations, and you are no longer their go-to form of entertainment anymore. So there will be the guys that protect the status quo. They protect the status quo, that are going to always prop this industry up as much as they can, because there may not be a spot for them on the other side if all of this stuff ends up looking a lot different. But this is there probably will never be a better time to be an independent now, because you got a chance. People are willing to look other places and consider things that they once did.
So this is a sales pitch. This is Eric doing a sales pitch. Anytime Eric makes a video where he talks about independent creators being the next big thing, it is a sales pitch for his brand. All of the other shit prior to that was simply fluffing you to get you ready for the money shot, which is, I am an independent creator and my brand is the future. That is what this is. It was all a fluff piece for that.
Did not before. AAA gaming isn't the only gig in town. Independent games, you see how those are sort of on the upcoming. And same thing can be said with film, same can be said with comics, same thing can be said about basically every form of entertainment. So be on the lookout for that. And I think everybody needs to get ready.
So that's it. It was a pitch for his media. That's all that was. Eric July selling you the independent dream, the libertarian dream, as sold by Eric July, who runs his own company, and yeah, all of that. Well, it is almost 3:00 in the morning. And yeah, I think I need to wrap this up. What is Mars? What is this? Hold on, everybody. You defend the status quo and cry like a bitch, Eric, when the status quo is upset by shows representing anyone else. Status quo, straight white male. Okay. I wanted to put that up on the screen because I thought that was rather funny. Let me remove the banner here. All right. So we've been live over 3 hours. I want to thank everybody for coming out and hanging out with me. I want to thank Dane for being here. It was a lot of fun watching videos with everybody. This will stay up as long as it can. There might be some stuff cut out of it because, YouTube loves to flag shit. So we'll see. Anyway, thanks so much for being here. If you're not a team member and you would like to contribute, there's a very inexpensive tier. You can become a team member now. You get early access. You get emojis. You get badges, member-only streams, all of that stuff if you would like to. If not, that's okay. You can definitely interact by giving me a thumbs up on the video. That definitely helps. Leaving a comment and being here to support the channel. Yes, join the revolution. Be a part of the revolution. Everything is going to change here on YouTube as we keep pushing towards infiltrating that algorithm and dismantling it from the inside. Sound like a supervillain there. I promise I'm not. I promise I won't. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Have a great morning, and I will see everybody later. There's going to be some shorts coming out later today. I don't know if there's going to be a video, but there's definitely going to be some shorts. So look for those. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.